Chapter 1. Hidden Dragon Continent, the Imperial City of the Light Wind Empire. The bustling Imperial City was bustling with noise and excitement. Towering buildings lined both sides of the wide street. Restaurants and inns could be found everywhere. The aroma of the dishes cooked by the chefs permeated the air and lingered for a long time. Among them, the #1 restaurant in the Imperial City, the Immortal Phoenix Restaurant, was bustling with people and its business was booming. The houses in the Imperial City were arranged in neat rows and densely packed with alleys. If one walked along the main road of the Imperial City, past the Immortal Phoenix Restaurant and walked for several miles, one would see a deep alleyway. Walking straight into the alleyway and turning left, one would see a simple and crude little restaurant. A big black dog was lying in front of the restaurant with its tongue hanging out. The interior of the restaurant was even more desolate as there was not a single customer. Suddenly, a young figure walked out of the restaurant. This figure was thin and fair. His long black hair was tied up with a slender velvet rope. His forehead was shiny and he did not have any bangs. His entire person appeared very neat and tidy. "Blackie, it's time to eat." Bufang walked out of the restaurant with a porcelain bowl in his slender fingers and placed it in front of the big black dog. The eyes of the big black dog, which was originally lying listlessly on the ground, suddenly lit up. It was full of vigor and began to gulp down the bowl of food. After stroking the big black dog's smooth and untainted fur, Bufang lightly smiled and walked back into the restaurant. Bufang, male, 20 years old. He was originally an aspiring chef on Earth. When he woke up, he found himself in this fantasy world with the gourmet system inexplicably appearing in his head. This restaurant was created by the system on the second day after Bufang transmigrated to this world. It had been a month since the establishment of this restaurant and there was not a single customer. Bufang was already numb to it. Every day, all he needed to do was practice his culinary skills according to the requirements of the gourmet system, and feed the big black dog at the entrance on time. Bufang did not know the origin of the big black dog. He only remembered that it appeared a week after the establishment of the restaurant. The system reminded Bufang to take out some food from his practice dishes and feed it to the big black dog. Just like that, every day when the restaurant opened, the big black dog would lie not far away, waiting for Bufang's food to be fed. Strictly speaking, the large black dog was Bufang's first customer, although it was a freeloader. After returning to the restaurant, Bufang looked around the deserted restaurant and sighed. Although the restaurant was simple and crude, it was very clean and tidy. There were a few tables in the 10-square-meter restaurant. It was truly a small restaurant. Looking at the 3 dishes on the menu, Bufang let out a long sigh and felt helpless. The menu was a wooden board hanging in the middle of the restaurant. There were only 3 dishes written on it. It was hard to imagine that a restaurant would only make 3 dishes. Furthermore, the prices behind the dishes were really shocking. A plate of stir-fried vegetables was actually priced at 100 gold coins. A bowl of dry mixed noodles was also priced at 100 gold coins. As for the last dish, egg-fried rice, it was even more outrageous. It was actually priced at a crystal. Crystals were something only cultivators would have. A crystal could be exchanged for about 1,000 gold coins. Moreover, it was the kind that had a demand but no supply. Yet, the prices of the dishes in this small restaurant were so outrageous that they could be called sky-high. Bufang did not believe that anyone would be so stupid as to order these dishes. Although he admitted that these dishes were indeed delicious, when he looked at the prices, Bufang still felt a headache. As a god of cooking who wants to stand at the top of the food chain in this fantasy world, how can I not have a first customer? If I have a first customer within a month, I will receive a reward from the system. This was the mission given by the system a few days after the establishment of the restaurant. There were less than 3 days left until the 1-month deadline. Bufang expressionlessly stared at the deserted alleyway. Looks like my dream of becoming a god of cooking is going to be strangled in the cradle before it even begins. Bufang looked at the time. He sighed in his heart and stood up to close the door of the restaurant. Dishes were not allowed to be taken out without permission. The opening hours were strictly regulated. The small restaurant was not big, but there were a lot of rules. However, since the rules were set by the system, they became Bufang's rules. Today's opening hours were over. After closing the door of the restaurant, Bufang returned to the kitchen and started to practice his cooking skills. This so-called practice actually did not require much skill. It was just cooking continuously. The ingredients were provided and updated by the system every day. All Bufang needed to do was to practice. In the corner of the kitchen, there was a humanoid robot. This robot was created by the system to recycle the food that Bufang used after his practice. Besides Bufang's food and the big black dog's food, all the other practice food had to be put into the robot's stomach for recycling. After turning on the stove and lighting the fire, Bufang began his daily cooking practice. Although he was in a fantasy world, the kitchen of the restaurant built by the system was arranged according to the modern equipment on Earth. There was a smokeless pan, a stainless steel kitchen knife, a clean wooden chopping board, a range hood, a microwave oven, a refrigerator. Everything was there, and it was more modern than the one on Earth. Bufang did not feel any discomfort when using it, and he even liked the feeling of cooking. As night fell, the two bright moons in the sky of the other world resonated with each other and sprinkled down a veil-like moonlight. At the entrance of the small restaurant, the big black dog was lying comfortably on the ground after finishing its meal. Accompanied by the sounds of insects in the quiet alley, it guarded the small restaurant. Early the next morning, Bufang drowsily woke up. After washing up, he opened the door of the small restaurant. The entrance was still as cold and cheerless as before. There was not a single person in sight, and the big black dog was lying on the ground as usual. Bufang suddenly felt a little envious of the popular Immortal Phoenix restaurant outside the alley. Its business was really booming. The customers coming and going almost broke the threshold of the restaurant. When his small restaurant's business could be as good as the Immortal Phoenix restaurant's, Bufang would be able to lie in the toilet and laugh secretly. Host, as a gourmet who wants to stand at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world, you should not be envious of other restaurants' business. For the sake of a bright future, start working hard. The system's mechanical and solemn voice rang out in Bufang's mind, reminding him. Bufang had already gotten used to it. During the past month, whenever the thought of envying the Immortal Phoenix restaurant appeared in his mind, the system would give him chicken soup on time to encourage him. From the looks of it, the system was actually quite humane. Bufang moved a chair and sat at the entrance of the restaurant. Under the warm sunlight, his buttocks involuntarily slid down from the chair. He lazily curled up on the chair and felt extremely satisfied. The alley was still completely empty. Another day without customers, Bufang thought to himself as he tilted his head and yawned. The big black dog was lying on the ground. It indifferently glanced at him and snorted. Then, it buried its head and continued sticking out its tongue. Just as Bufang was about to fall asleep, the sound of footsteps woke him up. He lazily opened his eyes and saw a handsome young man wearing a martial arts outfit passing by the alley. Huh? There's actually an idiot who opened a restaurant in this alley where almost no one passes by? The handsome young man was truly handsome. He had an oval face, large and intelligent eyes, vermilion lips, and fair skin. If it was not for his flat chest and protruding Adam's apple, Bufang would have almost mistaken him for a mischievous girl dressed as a man. Don't all the girls in fantasy worlds like to play like this? The handsome young man seemed to be interested in this little restaurant that was opened in an unfrequented alley. He actually walked into the restaurant. However, Bufang did not get up and continued to sit on the chair. Even though the other party had entered the restaurant, he was still not a customer since he did not order anything. That was because Bufang knew that in order to become a customer, he must first be able to afford the exorbitant prices. As expected, when the handsome young man saw the price of the dishes on the menu, his already large eyes widened even more. His scream even echoed in the quiet alley. "Oh my God! A dish of stir-fried vegetables for 100 gold coins? You actually charged 1 crystal for a dish of egg-fried rice? Have you gone crazy from thinking about money?" Chapter 2. The scream reverberated in Bufang's ears, but Bufang did not panic at all. He was still curled up in his chair with an empty gaze. It turned out that he was looking at the system panel in his mind. System goal: help the host become the god of cooking who stands at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world. Host: Bufang true energy cultivation level. None. As the god of cooking in the fantasy world, the food in the future will definitely require true energy. Young man, work hard. Cooking talent: not unlock skills, not unlock tools, not obtain god of cooking overall rating. Noob, the path to becoming the god of cooking has just begun. Follow the system's footsteps and become the man at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world. Hey! Are you even listening to me? Are you the owner of this restaurant? The handsome young man angrily shouted as he glared at Bufang with his large eyes. Bufang recollected his thoughts and calmly glanced at the handsome young man. He lazily stood up from his chair and yawned. The price of the dishes in this restaurant is just like that. If you can't accept it, you can leave. This restaurant has always operated with integrity. We never force customers or force them to buy or sell. The handsome young man was stunned by Bufang's attitude. Then, his fair face flushed red and his eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. Is this the attitude you should have when doing business? He thought. You. Look at the price. What integrity? I think you just want to make a one-off deal with a sucker. You're such a sinister person. Don't try to defend yourself. I, Xiao Xiaolong, have already seen through your true colors. Do I look like a fool to you? Bufang was also a little angry. As a chef with ambitions and ideals, he hated it the most when people said that he was sinister. I naturally have my reasons for setting the price. If you don't want to eat, you can leave. I'm not forcing you. Bufang felt a wave of bad luck. There was no customer early in the morning. Instead, it was a sissy who came looking for trouble. Why was it so difficult to do business? The handsome young man was even more depressed. He crossed his arms and coldly stared at Bufang. Are you trying to goad me into action? You must have thought that I would be provoked by you and order a dish to prove it, right? Then you completed the deal and took me for a fool, didn't you? Bufang really had nothing to say to this handsome little sissy. He walked toward the kitchen expressionlessly, intending to start his daily cooking practice. Stop talking, guilty conscience. Now that I've exposed your sinister intentions, there's nothing you can say. Let me tell you, I, Xiao Xiaolong, am a great scholar in the imperial capital who abhors evil. I hate sinister people like you the most. The handsome young man was still sneering and ridiculing, but after waiting for a long time, he didn't hear Bufang's retort. I will definitely tell everyone in the imperial city to shut down your store. Maybe you don't need me. Anyone who sees the price of your dish will think you're a fool. Xiao Xiaolong felt that he was being ignored, so he continued to threaten. Silence. The restaurant became extremely quiet. However, a fragrant aroma wafted out from the kitchen. Xiao Xiaolong waited for a long time and stared at the price of the dish on the menu. In the end, the corners of his mouth twitched and he shook his head, intending to leave. A plate of stir-fried vegetables sold for 100 gold coins. This was simply insane. In the Light Wind Empire, the smallest unit of currency was the copper coin. Above the copper coin was the silver coin, and above the silver coin was the gold coin. A gold coin was enough for an ordinary family in the imperial city to eat for a month. 100 gold coins. That was simply not something an ordinary person could afford. Especially when the egg-fried rice actually cost a crystal. What was a crystal? It was a necessity for cultivators. A crystal was equivalent to 1,000 gold coins. The person who set this price was definitely a lunatic. Xiao Xiaolong angrily turned around and walked to the entrance of the restaurant. Suddenly, his nose slightly twitched. Smells so good. A wave of fragrance wafted out from the kitchen and lingered around Xiao Xiaolong's nose. That fragrance seemed to have materialized. It was like a soft silk that gently slid across Xiao Xiaolong's face. It was like a lover's caress, causing Xiao Xiaolong's entire body to tremble. Finally, Xiao Xiaolong knew where the fragrance was coming from. He turned his head toward the kitchen and saw a thin figure walking out from the kitchen. His fair and long fingers were still holding a porcelain bowl. A rich fragrance continuously drifted out from the porcelain bowl. Are you trying to tempt me? Humph. No matter how delicious your cooking is, I will not pay for your treachery. Xiao Xiaolong saw Bufang walking toward him. He arrogantly raised his head and coldly snorted. Of course, if his nose wasn't constantly twitching, Bufang might really think that he was a person with great willpower who was unmoved by food and sex. Finally, Xiao Xiaolong couldn't resist the temptation of the fragrance, and his stomach rumbled. Since you sincerely want me to taste it, then I will reluctantly have a taste. Xiao Xiaolong turned his head and said to Bufang. However, his tone was still arrogant, as if he was giving Bufang a lot of face. However, the next moment, Xiao Xiaolong's body froze. This was because Bufang didn't stop in front of him. Instead, he directly ignored him and walked straight to the door. Xiao Xiaolong, who was dumbfounded, was furious. He turned his head and glared at Bufang. However, he saw a scene that made him even angrier. This was because Bufang was actually squatting beside the big black dog that was lying at the door. The fragrant food was placed in front of the dog. Blackie, it's time to eat. Bufang squatted down and stroked Blackie's smooth and clean fur. He chuckled. The corners of Bufang's mouth curled up as he watched the listless Blackie suddenly become full of energy as it gobbled down the food he made from the porcelain bowl while grunting. Xiao Xiaolong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He felt that Bufang had inhumanely insulted his character. You, Xiao Xiaolong stretched out his slender and fair finger, which was like that of a woman's, and pointed at Bufang with trembling lips. You haven't left yet? Bufang was puzzled and surprised. That exaggerated expression made Xiao Xiaolong feel as if an invisible arrow had pierced his heart. Oh, it hurts. Xiao Xiaolong's lips trembled, and he angrily snorted. He stomped his foot on the ground and turned his head and rushed out of the restaurant like a spoiled child. Bufang expressionlessly looked at Xiao Xiaolong, who stomped his foot and left. The corners of his mouth curled up. This little sissy. Is he stupid? Xiao Xiaolong ran to the door and was about to leave. However, his nose twitched again and he subconsciously turned his head to look at the food in the big black dog's bowl. The golden scrambled eggs were wrapped in pearl-like rice grains, and it was as beautiful as a work of art. However, at this moment, the one eating the egg-fried rice was a big black dog, a dog. The big black dog, who was happily eating, suddenly stopped. It seemed to have sensed something and raised its head to look. It discovered a sissy was actually staring at its bowl. Immediately, the big black dog's eyes emitted a hint of vigilance. Thus, under Xiao Xiaolong's gaze, the big black dog's paw pulled the porcelain bowl into its bosom. It vigilantly bared its teeth at Xiao Xiaolong. There were still pearl-like rice grains on its teeth that had not been swallowed. Was he being looked down upon by a dog? Xiao Xiaolong was confused for about 2 seconds, and then he suddenly exploded. Da-da-da! Xiao Xiaolong's face was flushed red, and his eyes seemed as if they could spit out flames as he walked back into the restaurant. Bufang was still expressionless as he shot a glance at Xiao Xiaolong. Give me a bowl of egg-fried rice. Humph. I've decided to test the poison with my own body. If it doesn't taste good, I'll ask the authorities to seal your restaurant tomorrow. Xiao Xiaolong pursed his lips and threatened. Chapter 3. Looking at Xiao Xiaolong's blushing face, Bufang gave him a meaningful glance and faintly curled up the corners of his mouth. Xiao Xiaolong blinked his eyes and his fair skin seemed to be tainted with a layer of captivating red. However, he still stubbornly said, "Let me tell you, the reason I tasted your egg-fried rice was not because I accepted the price, but because I wanted to test it with my own body and prove that your egg-fried rice is not worth the price." Got it? A bowl of egg-fried rice, right? Just wait. Bufang expressionlessly said. He waved his hand and walked toward the kitchen. Oh, that's right, our store's dry mixed noodles and stir-fried vegetables are pretty good as well. Do you want one? I heard that egg-fried rice and stir-fried vegetables go together better. Bufang, who paused at the entrance of the kitchen, turned around and shamelessly promoted the other two dishes. Xiao Xiaolong was stunned for a moment. Then, he glanced at the prices of the two dishes and felt as though his heart was pierced by an invisible arrow. No need. Just give me the egg-fried rice. Oh, all right then. What a pity. Bufang nodded and turned around to enter the kitchen. Looking at Bufang's calm expression, Xiao Xiaolong really wanted to go up and give him a good beating. A bowl of stir-fried vegetables costs 100 gold coins. Do you really think I'm a fool? A bowl of stir-fried vegetables that cost at most 10 copper coins is sold for 100 gold coins? In the entire continent, only this weird store would be able to do such a thing. While Bufang was cooking the egg-fried rice, Xiao Xiaolong was bored to death. His gaze naturally fell on the big black dog at the entrance. Oh no, it was the bowl that the big black dog was chewing on. Xiao Xiaolong recalled the fragrance of the egg-fried rice that he had smelled just now. That silk-like, soft fragrance, which was like a lover's caress, greatly increased his appetite. His stomach rumbled like thunder. Fortunately, there were no other customers in this restaurant apart from him. Otherwise, young Master Xiao, who had always been known for being elegant and graceful in the imperial city, would have lost a lot of face. The big black dog's desperate action of eating the porcelain bowl froze. As if it had sensed something, it raised its head, and its eyes fell on Xiao Xiaolong. Seeing that the stupid human was still staring at its porcelain bowl, the big black dog was furious. The dog pushed the porcelain bowl with its paw, stood up, and faced Xiao Xiaolong with its butt. It blocked Xiao Xiaolong's line of sight before it continued eating. Xiao Xiaolong felt that his heart was once again pierced by an invisible arrow. He was actually despised by this big black dog again. Humph! Why would this young master want to eat something that a dog like you eats? What a snob! Humph! Xiao Xiaolong was so angry that he angrily snorted in his heart. 5 minutes later, a rich fragrance once again drifted out from the kitchen. That fragrance made Xiao Xiaolong extremely intoxicated. The mellow fragrance of the egg mixed with the faint fragrance of the rice. Just by smelling the fragrance, Xiao Xiaolong could not help but salivate. It is indeed fragrant, but selling it for 1 crystal still feels a little insane. Xiao Xiaolong swallowed his saliva and snorted in his heart. Finally, Bufang's figure walked out from the kitchen with a plate in his hand. A rich fragrance spread out from the plate, enveloping the entire restaurant in the aroma. Your egg-fried rice, please enjoy, Bufang expressionlessly said as he placed the egg-fried rice in front of Xiao Xiaolong. White smoke floated up from the bowl, rolled in front of Xiao Xiaolong, and then dissipated. It was like an exploding fragrance bomb, causing Xiao Xiaolong to uncontrollably take a deep breath. Ignoring Bufang, Xiao Xiaolong's gaze was fixated on the egg-fried rice. A egg-fried rice that dared to sell for 1 crystal was definitely not an ordinary egg-fried rice. On the white porcelain plate there were pearl-like round rice grains. Every grain of rice was wrapped in a golden egg liquid. The egg liquid was not completely cooked and had a somewhat viscous appearance, as if it was covered with a layer of egg juice. However, the viscosity of the egg juice was just right. It was 80% cooked. When it was wrapped together with the rice grains, it was as if a golden gauze was draped over it, giving off a golden glow. This is really glowing. Xiao Xiaolong blankly stared at this plate of egg-fried rice that he had never seen before. He had never even thought that egg-fried rice could be made into such an appearance. It was simply as exquisite as a work of art. Xiao Xiaolong's status was noble. As the third son of the imperial general, he had tasted all kinds of delicacies in the general's mansion. Naturally, he had seen the egg-fried rice made by his own family's chef. He had even eaten the egg-fried rice made by the imperial chefs in the palace. However, compared to the glowing egg-fried rice in front of him, those egg-fried rice paled in comparison, be it in terms of fragrance or appearance. In fact, this plate of egg-fried rice only had eggs and rice. There were no other extra ingredients, not even chopped green onions. However, Xiao Xiaolong had an inexplicable feeling that this egg-fried rice was definitely countless times more delicious than the ones made by the imperial chefs in the palace. Grabbing the blue and white porcelain spoon that was neatly placed on the table, Xiao Xiaolong licked his lips and carefully scooped up a spoonful of egg-fried rice. The viscous egg liquid even formed a thin thread. As soon as he scooped up the rice, a rich aroma immediately assaulted Xiao Xiaolong's taste buds. Without caring about anything else, Xiao Xiaolong shoved the egg-fried rice into his mouth. As soon as the egg-fried rice entered his mouth, a strong aroma immediately assaulted Xiao Xiaolong's taste buds. The originally viscous egg liquid instantly solidified and became soft upon entering his mouth. The fragrance of the pearl-like round rice grains mixed with the soft and solid egg fragrance instantly bombarded Xiao Xiaolong's taste buds. Oh my God! How can there be such a delicious egg-fried rice in this world? I actually have an urge to cry. Xiao Xiaolong was completely intoxicated by the egg-fried rice. It was as if he was swimming in an ocean formed by the egg-fried rice's aroma, unable to extricate himself. Spoonful after spoonful of egg-fried rice, Xiao Xiaolong would occasionally exhale from the fragrant and hot rice. However, he simply could not stop. Munch, munch. Xiao Xiaolong's entire body was buried in the bowl of egg-fried rice. He was eating to his heart's content. His appearance was somewhat similar to the big black dog eating egg-fried rice at the entrance. Delicious! Xiao Xiaolong scooped and ate the rice in one go. Along with his exclamation of delicious, a few golden rice grains spurted out from his mouth. Xiao Xiaolong's eyes widened as he picked up the rice grains that fell onto the table and continued stuffing them into his mouth. Bufang pulled a chair and sat opposite of Xiao Xiaolong. He calmly watched this scene. Xiao Xiaolong's table manners were actually within Bufang's expectations. When he first ate this egg-fried rice, his appearance was not much better than Xiao Xiaolong's. When Xiao Xiaolong licked the celadone plate clean, his tongue circled around the plate once, and when the last grain of rice was sucked into his mouth, he finally exhaled a mouthful of hot air. His face was filled with satisfaction. This is egg-fried rice. It's simply inconceivable. My family's chef, no, even the imperial chefs don't have such skills. Xiao Xiaolong muttered to himself. Bufang did not say anything as he sat coldly at the side. Is this egg-fried rice worth a crystal now? Bufang opened his mouth and asked Xiao Xiaolong. However, Xiao Xiaolong frowned. He smacked his lips and said, "Although this egg-fried rice is a rare delicacy in this world, do you know what a crystal means? Crystals can assist a cultivator's cultivation. Can your egg-fried rice do the same? The two are not on the same value line. However, I still have to admit that your egg-fried rice is delicious." Bufang raised his eyebrows in surprise. He did not expect Xiao Xiaolong to come up with such a theory. Although what he said seemed to make sense, but was this sissy trying to renege on his debt? Just when Bufang was about to open his mouth, Xiao Xiaolong's fair and tender face suddenly flushed red. His entire body emitted a sparkling radiance, as if there was a stream of air flowing around his body. Burp! A burp rang out. The redness on Xiao Xiaolong's face faded away. However, the way he looked at Bufang became extremely strange and passionate. His voice was even slightly trembling. Tell me, what exactly are the ingredients of your egg-fried rice? Chapter 4. Xiao Xiaolong was so excited that the fair skin on his face was flushed. It was like the face of a beautiful woman that made one want to take a bite out of it. In any case, Bufang was somewhat tempted by the sight of it. My God! Why would I have such a thought? Bufang shook his head to get rid of this terrifying thought. He thought to himself, this guy is a sissy, not a woman. I must hold on and not turn gay. Therefore, Bufang sat on the chair with an expressionless face and calmly looked at the excited and charming Xiao Xiaolong. Tell me, this is definitely not an ordinary egg-fried rice. I can feel the true energy in my body showing signs of a breakthrough. Xiao Xiaolong's lips were trembling and his eyes were shining. As a famous genius in the imperial city, Xiao Xiaolong was not only good at literature but also martial arts. After all, he was the son of a great general. His cultivation level had reached the peak of second-grade battlemaster, and he was considered quite powerful among the circle of the imperial city's officials. However, just now, after eating the egg-fried rice, Xiao Xiaolong felt the true energy in his body, which had been stagnant for a month, suddenly boil. It directly caused his true energy to increase, and showed signs of breaking through to third-grade battle maniac. For a cultivator, strength was the most important. A bowl of egg-fried rice that could help a cultivator break through was comparable to elixirs. No. It was even more valuable than elixirs because elixirs were tasteless and tasteless. However, Bufang's egg-fried rice was simply a delicacy. Not only was it delicious, but it could also help a cultivator break through. It was simply a blessing for cultivators. One essence crystal was seriously too cheap. I'm sorry, I lost control of myself. However, I still want to know the ingredients of this egg-fried rice. If I'm not wrong, these eggs are not ordinary eggs. Judging from the taste and texture, they should be the eggs of a third-grade spirit beast, the thunderstorm pigeon. Xiao Xiaolong was born in a prestigious family and had great self-restraint. He quickly calmed down and said to Bufang. Bufang was slightly startled. He really didn't know about these ingredients and thought they were just ordinary eggs. System, is this egg really the pigeon egg that this sissy mentioned? Bufang asked the system. The system was silent for a moment before its solemn voice rang out. Ordinary egg-fried rice recipe. The egg chosen is the first egg laid by a level 3 spirit beast, thunderstorm pigeon. It contains countless spiritual essence. After eating it, it can increase the cultivation of a cultivator's true qi. There is a high probability that it can help a cultivator break through the bottleneck. The rice chosen was the pearl rice that was filled with spirit energy from the southern wasteland of the Light Wind Empire. The pearl rice ripened once a year and was rich in substances that could aid in cultivation. It was now the tribute rice of the Light Wind Empire's imperial palace. The oil used is made from the fat of the second-grade spirit beast, the Tsang mountain boar. It's neither greasy nor muddy. The salt used is the best sea salt from the southern wasteland. After listening to the system's explanation and introduction, Bufang's face was expressionless. However, he could feel as if an invisible arrow had pierced his heart. Oh, it hurts. System, can I change the price of the egg-fried rice? I feel that 1 crystal is a loss. Why don't I raise the price to 10 crystals? The system's price is reasonable and fair. It's closely related to the price of the ingredient. The host's current level is too low, so the price cannot be changed. Bufang clenched his teeth. He was so angry. The egg was a level 3 spirit beast egg, the rice was the imperial tribute rice, and the oil was actually made from the fat of a level 2 spirit beast. Even the unremarkable salt had a great background. His bowl of egg-fried rice cost 1 crystal. It was a huge loss. Fortunately, all the ingredients were provided by the system. Otherwise, he would definitely be crying on the toilet wall. Boss, my guess is correct, right? This egg is definitely the egg of the thunderstorm pigeon. There is a tingling sensation of thunder in the mouth. It's definitely a pigeon egg. There's no doubt about it. Xiao Xiaolong became excited again. Bufang was in a bad mood. Looking at Xiao Xiaolong, who was dancing with joy, he lightly opened his mouth and spat out a sentence. The egg chosen for this restaurant's egg-fried rice is the first egg laid by a level 3 spirit beast, the thunderstorm pigeon. It contains a large amount of spiritual essence. Bufang copied the system's introduction and told it to Xiao Xiaolong. Xiao Xiaolong was dumbfounded. His big eyes widened even more. Oh my God, there were so many secrets hidden in this bowl of egg-fried rice. The egg was indeed not an ordinary egg. The rice was not ordinary either. Damn, the oil was not ordinary either. And the salt. Xiao Xiaolong felt as if he had swallowed a bowl of gold. So, do you still think that 1 crystal for a bowl of egg-fried rice is expensive? In a bad mood, Bufang coldly snorted. Not expensive at all. Then, boss, can I have another bowl? Xiao Xiaolong hurriedly shook his head. His face was full of smiles. This egg-fried rice could increase one's cultivation. 1 crystal was simply too worth it. Even if he were to sell it for 5 crystals, Xiao Xiaolong would not say a word. I'm sorry, each person can only order 1 dish per day. Bufang was still sitting on the chair as he arrogantly said. Xiao Xiaolong was stunned for a moment. Then, he took out a sachet with a peony embroidered on it. Bufang looked at the peony sachet and the corner of his mouth twitched. If it was not for the fact that this brat had an Adam's apple and no chest, Bufang would definitely think that this brat was a woman dressed as a man. Here, boss, here are 5 essence crystals. Add another bowl for me. Xiao Xiaolong excitedly placed the diamond-like crystals on the table. Then, he coquettishly acted like a spoiled child toward Bufang. Bufang directly ignored Xiao Xiaolong. He picked out the crystal with the best quality and put it away. He expressionlessly said, "If a male customer continues to act coquettishly or act cute towards the owner, he will be mercilessly blacklisted by the store and will never be served again." Alright, Xiao Xiaolong was so angry. He knew that it was impossible for him to eat a second bowl of egg-fried rice today. Thus, he stood up and prepared to leave. "You're welcome to come again," Bufang stood up and calmly said. Xiao Xiaolong walked to the door and stopped. He looked at the empty porcelain bowl in front of the big black dog and felt as if an invisible arrow had pierced his heart with a poochie sound. Such a precious egg-fried rice was actually ruined by a big black dog. What a waste. Humph. After finishing his meal, the big black dog became a lot more lazy. He lay on the ground and licked his paws. He lazily glanced at Xiao Xiaolong and then ignored him. Following the principle of not seeing, not feeling annoyed, Xiao Xiaolong left the strange little restaurant in the remote alley. Bufang stood up and took back the porcelain bowl in front of Blackie. Then, he closed the door and closed the door. Today's business was over. After placing the porcelain bowl into the automatic dishwasher provided by the system, Bufang finished everything and returned to his room with a face full of anticipation. Congratulations to the host for completing the first system mission and obtaining the system reward. Congratulations to the host for taking the first step on the road to becoming the god of cooking in the fantasy world and obtaining the first restaurant customer. Bufang excitedly sat on the chair in the room. The solemn voice of the system resounded in his mind. Hey! It's finally here. What kind of reward is it? I'm really looking forward to it. Bufang's eyes slightly lit up. He rubbed his hands and his calm appearance in front of Xiao Xiaolong completely disappeared. Chapter 5. System reward: improved version of egg fried rice, 1 fragment of the God of Cooking set. The system's cold voice rang out, listing the rewards Bufang had obtained as if it was listing its family treasures. However, after hearing the system's reward, the excited expression on Bufang's face froze. Then, it slowly faded away and his face became expressionless. Why is it egg fried rice again? What's different about the improved version of egg fried rice? Bufang was actually not very interested. He originally thought that he could unlock a new dish, but he did not expect that it would still be egg fried rice. Even if it was the improved version, it was still egg fried rice. The improved version of egg fried rice is of a higher grade than ordinary egg fried rice. The ingredients used are different. Those whose cultivation level is lower than 3rd grade Battle Maniac cannot order it. The system solemnly listed out the differences between the improved version of egg fried rice. Bufang was surprised for a moment, but he did not think much of it. After all, it was the improved version. How could it not have some differences? Then what is the fragment of the God of Cooking set? Fragment of the God of Cooking set. Collect multiple fragments of the God of Cooking set to exchange for the God of Cooking set. The kitchen utensils that the host is currently using are low-grade ordinary kitchen utensils. The God of Cooking set seemed to be very high-end. Bufang blinked his eyes. Then, a smile appeared on his expressionless face. Unknowingly, a new dish had appeared on the restaurant's menu, and there was also a price tag behind it. Improved version of egg fried rice, 10 crystals. As a young man who wants to become the God of cooking at the top of the food chain in this fantasy world, how can he not have a short-term goal? System mission: please make a profit of 100 crystals and 1,000 gold coins within a week. The system solemnly issued a mission to Bufang. A week was 7 days. If he had to make a profit of 100 crystals within 7 days, he would have to sell 100 bowls of ordinary egg-fried rice or 10 bowls of improved egg-fried rice. If he had to make a profit of 1,000 gold coins, he would have to sell 10 bowls of stir-fried vegetables or dry mixed noodles. System, you are making things difficult for me. I have only sold 1 bowl of egg-fried rice today, and you want me to sell 100 bowls of ordinary egg-fried rice in 7 days? You might as well kill me. Bufang protested to the system with grief and indignation. However, the system was still as cold as ever, pouring a bowl of chicken soup over Bufang's head. In order to become the God of cooking who stands at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world, don't be afraid of any difficulties. All difficulties and obstacles are just stepping stones for your success. Once you've stepped on them, you'll be able to look down on the world. Bufang's face was expressionless. He was indifferent to the system's chicken soup. Of course, if the system didn't use such a serious and cold tone to talk about this chicken soup, Bufang might really drink this bowl of chicken soup. Sighing softly, Bufang lay on the bed and closed his eyes to rest. After returning to the general's mansion, Xiao Xiaolong seemed a little absent-minded. The boiling true energy within his body made him feel a little unreal. There were signs of a breakthrough after eating a bowl of egg-fried rice. This was really somewhat inconceivable. Xiao Xiaolong seemed a little intoxicated as he recalled the fragrance of the egg-fried rice. He felt as if he was floating in an ocean of fragrance, unable to extricate himself. The general's mansion was very big. Along the way, there were many busy servants and maids. When these maids saw Xiao Xiaolong's appearance, they all covered their mouths in surprise. "What's wrong with young Master Xiao today? That expression is so wretched. It's too scary. The beautiful image of young Master Xiao in my heart has collapsed. He's my first love." The discussion of the maids and servants made Xiao Xiaolong, who was intoxicated in the ocean of fragrance, return to his senses. Feeling the strange gazes from the surroundings, his face suddenly turned red. He quickened his pace and disappeared from everyone's sight. Sitting cross-legged in a simple room, Xiao Xiaolong closed his eyes and rested. True energy was circulating around his body, and a lustrous radiance was circulating on his skin, making him look extremely holy. A wave of energy surged out from Xiao Xiaolong's dantian and instantly rushed into his limbs and bones, charging against the acupoints in his body. The true energy was extremely gentle, like a slowly flowing river, nourishing everything. It was as gentle as the hands of a woman kneading him. After about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Xiao Xiaolong's face turned red. His eyes suddenly opened and a bright light bloomed within them. He spat out a mouthful of pitch-black turbid energy, and the aura on his body gradually rose. When the aura rose to its peak, it poured down like a waterfall and was completely restrained. Xiao Xiaolong stood up and the sound of bones colliding rang out from his body. He raised his hand and a dense wave of true energy wrapped around his palm. Ha! Release of true energy. I, Xiao Xiaolong, have really broken through to third-grade battle maniac. Xiao Xiaolong was overjoyed and could not help but laugh out loud. Zhao Rouge, now that I'm also a third-grade battle maniac, I'm not afraid of you anymore. The corners of Xiao Xiaolong's mouth curled up and he grinned foolishly. However, before he could finish laughing, the door to his room was pushed open by someone. The true energy that sealed the door lock was immediately dispersed by an even more powerful wave of true energy. Xiao Xiaolong, you actually dared to make a bet with Zhao Rouge. And the stake is your sister's lifelong happiness. As the door was blasted open, a pleasant female voice that sounded like the chirping of an oriole rang out. A graceful figure stepped into the room. Sister. Xiao Xiaolong's entire body trembled when he saw the newcomer. The newcomer was a woman. Her skin was whiter than snow and her eyes were as bright as the autumn waters. The clothes around her neck were undone, and she was wearing a snow-white brocade robe that reflected her aqua-green muslin dress. Her beautiful hair was as smooth as a black river and spread out. She was incomparably beautiful. Xiao Yinyu slightly knitted her eyebrows and looked at Xiao Xiaolong with a trace of anger in her eyes. This self-proclaimed romantic younger brother of hers actually dared to make a bet with her lifelong happiness. It really made her a little angry. Sister, don't be angry. Back then, I couldn't stand that brat Zhao Rouge's face. Don't worry, I'll definitely win the bet with him. Look, I'm already a third-grade battle maniac. Xiao Xiaolong hurriedly said. He stretched out his hand and dense true energy appeared. Even though Xiao Yinyu was angry, she was still a little surprised. She was well aware of her younger brother's strength. He had always been stuck at the peak of second-grade battlemaster. Yesterday, he didn't even show any signs of breaking through. How did he manage to break through today? Sister, even though Zhao Rouge is also a third-grade battle maniac, you should believe in your younger brother. I can definitely beat him into a pig's head. Xiao Xiaolong said with a chuckle. Xiao Yinyu was very beautiful. Everyone in the imperial city knew that Zhao Rouge had been drooling over her beauty for a long time. However, because Xiao Yinyu was the daughter of great General Xiao Meng, Zhao Rouge, the son of the minister of the left, did not dare to act recklessly. If Xiao Yinyu was just a girl from an ordinary family, she would have already become Zhao Rouge's concubine. Sister, aren't you curious about how I broke through? Xiao Xiaolong asked as if he was presenting a treasure. Xiao Yinyu lifted her skirt and sat on a stool in the room. She glanced at Xiao Xiaolong with her limpid eyes and lightly said, "Tell me, I'm listening." Xiao Xiaolong grinned. He knew that his sister must have noticed the peculiarity of his cultivation breakthrough. Xiao Yinyu was beautiful and intelligent. She was known as the #1 talented woman in the Light Wind Empire. How could this little peculiarity of his be hidden from her? Thus, Xiao Xiaolong mysteriously moved closer to Xiao Yinyu's ear, as if he was talking about something serious. Xiao Yinyu's heart trembled. It seemed like this secret was no small matter. For her brother, who was always loose, to treat it so seriously, she really had to listen carefully. Sister, The secret of my breakthrough is actually a bowl of egg-fried rice. So it's egg-fried rice. Egg-fried rice? Xiao Yinyu's beautiful face suddenly stiffened. Then, a blush appeared on her face. This brat actually dared to tease his sister. Immediately, Xiao Yinyu's fair and slender fingers twisted Xiao Xiaolong's ear. She coldly laughed and said, "Not bad, you've grown up. You actually dared to tease your sister. Do you think egg-fried rice is a miracle medicine? Do you think it can help you break through? You're really full of nonsense." Xiao Xiaolong felt as if his heart had been pierced by an invisible arrow. What he had said was true. What happened to the trust between a sister and a brother? Xiao Xiaolong had no choice but to tell her what happened in the morning with a bitter face. He described the little restaurant in the alleyway as extremely mysterious. "You mean you spent a crystal to eat a bowl of egg-fried rice?" Xiao Yinyu widened her eyes and looked at her brother, who was still immensely proud of himself. She really wanted to twist this wastrel's ear off. "Sister, if you don't believe me, I'll bring you to that little restaurant tomorrow. You'll definitely be satisfied. The taste of that egg-fried rice, that fragrance. Oh, I seem to have recalled my lost childhood." Xiao Xiaolong's eyes were filled with fascination. However, Xiao Yinyu did not believe him at all. This brat was definitely drugged. It was just a bowl of egg-fried rice. How good could it be? Tomorrow I'll take a good look at how many heads and arms this egg-fried rice that can help people break through actually has. Chapter 6. Early morning the next day. After washing up, Xiao Yinyu, who was wearing a veil, and Xiao Xiaolong, whose face was filled with excitement, walked out of the general's residence. The general's residence was located in the downtown area of the imperial city. The moment they stepped out of the door, they could see the bustling street. However, even though it was very noisy outside, it was quiet and peaceful inside the general's residence. This was because when the general's residence was designed, the architect had specially engraved some noise-canceling magic arrays on the site. Xiao Yinyu rarely left the general's residence because she was well aware of the attractiveness of her appearance to men. There was once when she went out without a veil. That time, it directly caused a traffic jam in the imperial city and caused quite a number of fights between playboys. Ever since that time, Xiao Yinyu rarely went out. Even when she did, she would always wear a veil. The Xiao siblings had just walked out of the general's residence and turned a corner. Right in front of them was a bustling street. Both sides of the street were filled with hawkers hawking their wares. The aroma of fried snacks also drifted over. Cultivators like Xiao Xiaolong and Xiao Yinyu would never eat these fried food. This was because these foods had been fried in inferior oil and contained a lot of poisonous substances. Cultivators cultivated to purify their bodies and expel impurities from their bodies. Eating such foods would only increase the impurities in their bodies. Therefore, cultivators had very high requirements for their diet, especially the quality of their food. Strictly speaking, egg-fried rice was also a type of junk food. However, Xiao Xiaolong actually found an opportunity to break through because of a bowl of egg-fried rice. If this was not a coincidence, then there was definitely something wrong with the egg-fried rice that Xiao Xiaolong mentioned. The possibility of it being a coincidence was extremely low because Xiao Xiaolong had stagnated at the second-grade battlemaster level for too long. It was so long that he was basically immune to coincidences. Therefore, there was a high probability that Xiao Xiaolong's breakthrough had something to do with the egg-fried rice. This was also something that Xiao Yinyu was curious about. Could it be that this egg-fried rice was really as magical as Xiao Xiaolong said? Oh my! Isn't this our young master Xiao? Where are you planning to go to recite poems today? Just as the Xiao siblings were immersed in their own thoughts, a very discordant voice interrupted their contemplation. Xiao Xiaolong's beautiful face darkened. He looked at the frivolous man who was speaking from afar. He was dressed in a colorful robe with his chest exposed. He held a paper fan in his hand, and his face was covered in oil. He had thin eyes and an ape-like chin, making him look extremely wretched. This person was the only son of the Light Wind Empire's finance minister, Sun Qixiang. He was a famous hedonistic son of rich parents in the imperial capital. Sun Qixiang. This young master doesn't have the time to talk nonsense with you today, quickly scram. Xiao Xiaolong looked like a sissy, but when he was angry, there was still some pressure coming from him. However, Sun Qixiang didn't buy it. He shrugged his shoulders and narrowed his eyes as he stared at the veiled girl beside Xiao Xiaolong. Suddenly, his eyes widened as if he had discovered a new continent. Ouch! Holy shit! It was actually the Yenyu second miss. This young man offers his greetings. It was obvious that Xiao Sun Qixiang had discovered Xiao Yenyu's identity and immediately lost his composure. The goddess of his dreams was right in front of him. If he did not flirt with her, he would be letting down his reputation as a hedonist. "Get out of my way," Xiao Yenyu lightly said. She was a man of few words. Xiao Sun Qixiang shrugged his shoulders. He originally wanted to strike up a conversation, but when he met Xiao Yenyu's ice-cold and frightening gaze, he suddenly felt a chill run down his spine as he recalled Xiao Yenyu's terrifying strength. After tens of thousands of years of development, the cultivation system of the Hidden Dragon continent had developed to a strict grading system. Everyone on the Hidden Dragon continent cultivated, from the elderly to the children as young as 5 years old. Cultivation was practically integrated into every household. However, due to the difference in talent, the achievements of cultivation were also different. According to the level of cultivation, there were 9 grades: 1st grade warrior, 2nd grade battlemaster, 3rd grade battlemaniac, 4th grade battle spirit, 5th grade battle king, 6th grade battle emperor, 7th grade battle saint, 8th grade war god, and 9th grade supreme being. Above the 9th grade was the 10th grade, but that was not the realm that ordinary people could come into contact with. Xiao Yenyu was a talented girl in the imperial capital and a cultivation genius. Even though she was only 18 years old, her cultivation level had already reached 4th grade battle spirit. She was much stronger than her younger brother, Xiao Xiaolong. Even great General Xiao Meng would often lament how good it would be if Yenyu was a man. Sun Qixiang was merely a good-for-nothing. He only managed to reach 3rd grade battlemaniac when he was in his 20s. However, he was still a 3rd grade battle spirit after all. Thus, he was naturally not afraid of Xiao Xiaolong. However, when faced with 4th grade battle spirit Xiao Yenyu, well, a man had to know when to yield and when to stand tall. Xiao Xiaolong coldly snorted and caught up with Xiao Yenyu, who had already walked far away. Their figures quickly disappeared into the crowd. Sun Qixiang rubbed his monkey cheeks and narrowed his eyes into a line. He whispered something into one of his lackey's ears, and the lackey quickly left. Sun Qixiang shook his shoulders and let out a sinister laugh as he walked toward the direction where Xiao Xiaolong and Xiao Yenyu disappeared. Bufang, who woke up naturally from his sleep and wanted the system to kill him, unhurriedly opened the store. The big black dog was still lying at the entrance. When it saw Bufang opening the door, it lazily glanced at him with its doggy eyes and continued to lie there. "I have to sell 100 servings of egg-fried rice, 10 plates of stir-fried vegetables, or 10 plates of dry mixed noodles within 7 days. System, do you think it's possible for a remote restaurant like ours to achieve such a sales miracle?" Bufang moved a chair to the entrance and curled up on it. He was fighting with the system in his mind. "Young man, you are the god of cooking who wants to stand at the top of the food chain in this fantasy world. You must have confidence in your culinary skills and believe that you can conquer the entire world." The system solemnly poured a bowl of chicken soup on Bufang. Bufang rolled his eyes. Before conquering the world, it was better for him to bask in the sun. The lazy feeling of the sun shining on his body made Bufang, who had just woken up, feel sleepy again. "Owner, I'm here again. I've fallen in love with your egg-fried rice." Just as Bufang closed his eyes, he was startled awake by a sissy's roar. He expressionlessly raised his head and saw that it was the sissy who ate the egg-fried rice the day before. Huh! There was another person beside him. Even though she was wearing a veil, Bufang immediately recognized that it was a woman, protruding forward, protruding backward. Her figure was not bad. Xiao Yinyu frowned and sized up the little restaurant. This was a little restaurant located in the depths of an alleyway that almost no one cared about. Could it really make that magical egg-fried rice? "Are you the owner of this restaurant?" Xiao Yinyu gently opened her red lips and asked. Her voice was very pleasant, like the chirping of an oriole in an empty valley. It was leisurely and very pleasing to the ear. "Yes." Bufang calmly nodded. Xiao Yinyu did not say anything else and stepped into the store. The store was very clean. Xiao Yinyu's slender fingers touched the dining table and found that there was no dust on it. Furthermore, the environment of the store was very cozy, which made Xiao Yinyu quite satisfied. Even though the store was small and located in a remote area, it was carefully renovated. It was very cozy and clean. After Xiao Yinyu finished sizing up the surroundings, her gaze fell on the wooden board with the menu in the center of the store. Her eyebrows slightly twitched and a trace of disbelief flashed through her limpid eyes. "It really is as Xiaolong said. A bowl of egg-fried rice is sold for 1 crystal. That improved egg-fried rice is actually sold for 10 crystals. Is this guy out of his mind? Boss, the improved egg-fried rice wasn't here yesterday? Why is it here today?" Xiao Xiaolong was also astonished as he looked at the sky-high price of egg-fried rice that required 10 crystals. "Oh, I forgot to write it yesterday. However, as a friendly reminder, in order to order this improved egg-fried rice, your cultivation level must be at least 3rd grade Battlemaniac. Otherwise, you are not qualified." Bufang yawned and expressionlessly said, "There was a cultivation level restriction for eating egg-fried rice?" Xiao Yinyu's interest was immediately piqued. She was suddenly very curious about the improved egg-fried rice. "Xiaolong, how many crystals did you bring?" Xiao Yinyu asked Xiao Xiaolong. Xiao Xiaolong blanked out for a moment and replied, 10 crystals. Very good." Xiao Yinyu nodded her head in satisfaction. With a wave of her hand, a sachet embroidered with a peony immediately appeared in her hand. "Boss, give me the improved egg-fried rice," Xiao Yinyu calmly said. "All right, please wait a moment." When Bufang heard that the other party actually ordered the improved egg-fried rice, he was immediately overjoyed. However, his expression did not change. In front of a beauty, he had to maintain his cold and aloof image as a chef god. At that moment, Xiao Xiaolong's face had already turned ashen. He looked at Xiao Yinyu with an expression of despair. Bufang turned around and was about to enter the kitchen. Suddenly, a tsk tisk sound of disdain came from the door, causing him to stop in his tracks. Tsk tsk tsk. The number 1 talented woman of the Light Wind Empire actually came to a remote little restaurant to eat a bowl of egg-fried rice? Oh my, this is too funny. Sun Qixiang shook his head as he stepped into the store. "Second Miss Yinyu, do you like egg-fried rice? Alright. This young master will treat you. Boss, give me 10 bowls of egg-fried rice first. If it's not enough, I'll order more." Chapter 7. Boss, give me 10 bowls of egg-fried rice first. If these words were shouted in a normal restaurant, the owner would be very happy. However, in Bufang's store, Bufang was very unhappy. Bufang was about to enter the kitchen when he stopped. He turned around and looked at Sun Qixiang, who was wearing a colorful robe. He said in a serious tone, "Customer, the store only allows 1 serving of egg-fried rice per person per day. You can order some stir-fried vegetables and dry mixed noodles. Oh, or the improved version of egg-fried rice." Sun Qixiang was startled. He did not expect to be rejected. He immediately looked at Bufang as if he was looking at an idiot. At the same time, he pointed the paper fan in his hand at Bufang and grinned. "Don't you know who I am?" Sun Qixiang was one of the 3 hedonistic sons of the capital. Who didn't know him? A mere owner of a small restaurant actually dared to reject him. He was simply courting death. Bufang furrowed his brows and carefully looked at Sun Qixiang. He had long and narrow eyes, a protruding mouth, and an ape-like chin. Although he was ugly, he had a personality, but Bufang had never seen him before. "I don't know you, but this is the rule of this store. If you don't want to eat, you can leave," Bufang said calmly. "Oh, you have a personality. This young master likes to break the rules the most. If you don't give me 10 bowls of egg-fried rice today, I will smash your store." A small store in the middle of nowhere actually dares to talk about rules with this young master. Sun Qixiang laughed. There was really someone in the imperial city who did not know him. Interesting. Xiao Yanyu, who was standing at the side, could not stand it anymore. She did not expect Sun Qixiang to follow her to this store. If the store was destroyed, it would be mostly because of her. "Sun Qixiang, behave yourself. Since you are here to eat, then eat properly. Do you want me to throw you out?" Xiao Yinyu's ethereal voice carried a trace of coldness. Xiao Xiaolong was already staring at Sun Qixiang with hostility. Even after hearing Sun Qixiang's threat, Bufang's face remained expressionless. He was indifferent, as if Sun Qixiang's threat was just a fart. He rubbed his palms together, glanced at Sun Qixiang and said, "Destroy my shop? I'm afraid that you don't have the ability to do so. I'll say it again. If you want to order dishes, hurry up. The menu is on the wall. If you continue to be so long-winded, I'll blacklist you forever." Xiao Yanyu was stunned, and so was Xiao Xiaolong. They could not understand why Bufang was not the slightest bit afraid of Sun Qixiang's threat. Sun Qixiang was very influential in the imperial city, and even the #1 restaurant in the imperial city, the Immortal Phoenix restaurant, did not dare to provoke him. Where did Bufang's little store get its confidence from? Sun Qixiang was so angry that he laughed. A small restaurant that opened in an alley in the corner of the imperial capital actually dared to be so arrogant. He had really broadened his horizons today. "Brat, you have guts. The guy who talked to me like this last time has already been fed to the fish in the moat." Sun Qixiang sneered and turned to look at the menu. There were only 4 dishes on the menu. He could ignore Bufang and destroy the restaurant, but with Xiao Yanyu here, he did not dare to be presumptuous. Since that was the case, he would first see what this little restaurant was capable of. It really is a small restaurant. There are only 4 dishes, and one of them is repeated. Do you think you can cook egg-fried rice? Sun Qixiang only glanced at the names of the dishes. He did not even look at the price and was mercilessly disdainful. Price? Sun Qixiang, did not lack money. "What do you want to order?" Bufang asked expressionlessly. "Give me one of each dish." Sun Qixiang sat at the dining table. He wanted to see what kind of delicious food this little restaurant could cook that could attract the #1 beauty of the imperial city. Sun Qixiang sized up the little restaurant. He had to admit that the decoration of this little restaurant was really unique, and it gave off a very comfortable feeling. "One of each dish? Okay, the total is 11 crystals and 200 gold coins." The corner of Bufang's mouth twitched as he indifferently announced the price. Sun Qixiang sat on the chair with his legs crossed. When he heard the price Bufang announced, his face immediately stiffened. He looked at Bufang as if he was looking at an idiot. "Do you think I am a pig? 2 bowls of egg-fried rice, a plate of stir-fried vegetables, and a plate of dry mixed noodles. You are telling me that it is 11 crystals and 200 gold coins? If you want to rip people off, you should at least open your eyes. How dare you rip off your grandpa's son?" Sun Qixiang almost roared out these words. Even though he, Sun Qixiang, was a person who would throw away a lot of money, He was not a brainless sucker. Are you blind? The price is written on the menu. If you don't order, then get lost. Bufang's patience had long disappeared. He did not indulge his customers. As a god of cooking who wanted to stand at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world, he had his own pride. Don't pretend to be a nouveau riche if you don't have money. Xiao Xiaolong almost burst out laughing in his heart when he saw Sun Qixiang making a fuss about nothing. When he first saw the price of the dishes, his expression was almost the same as Sun Qixiang's. Now that he saw the same expression on someone else's face, he felt inexplicably happy. No money? What a joke! This young master can use money to smash you to death. Don't talk nonsense. Serve the dishes first. I will not be short of money. Sun Qixiang glanced at Xiao Xiaolong with disdain. He opened his paper fan and lightly waved it as he spoke. His eyes rolled around as if he was calculating something in his heart. Bufang did not mind. Since Sun Qixiang had ordered, then he would cook. Everyone who entered the store was a customer, so he was not afraid of anyone causing trouble. That was because the store had been modified by the system. Causing trouble would definitely not end well. Please wait for a moment. Bufang did not say anything else. He turned around and went into the kitchen. Yenyu, why did such a delicate beauty like you come to this place to eat this kind of brainless egg-fried rice? While waiting for the dishes, Sun Qixiang felt a little bored. He tried to get close to Xiao Yenyu, who was sitting at the side. However, Xiao Yenyu was like a statue and completely ignored him. Sun Qixiang did not mind at all. How could one not hit a wall when flirting with a beauty? He was already used to it. Hence, he continued to look around the store with disdain in his eyes. When he saw the price on the menu again, a trace of mockery flashed across Sun Qixiang's eyes. Xiao Xiaolong sat at the side gloomily and looked at Xiao Yenyu resentfully. All of his crystals had been taken away by his sister. Now, he only had gold coins on him. Hence, he had no choice but to order a serving of dry mixed noodles. Even though it was not egg-fried rice, since it was a product of the store, it should not be ordinary. After all, it was worth 100 gold coins. Everyone in the store had different thoughts in their mind. Suddenly, a rich aroma wafted out. It rose and fell like fluttering silk, gently caressing their faces. Xiao Xiaolong was intoxicated by the aroma. It was this aroma that was intoxicating. It was as if he was recalling the youth that was supposed to have passed away. A trace of surprise also appeared in Xiao Yenyu's limpid eyes. It was really fragrant. Sun Qixiang sniffed and his eyes immediately lit up. He thought to himself, it seems like this store is quite capable. This aroma is amazing. Under the gaze of the 6 pairs of eyes, Bufang calmly walked out of the kitchen. Here is your improved egg-fried rice. Please enjoy. Bufang was holding a blue and white porcelain bowl. A rich aroma lingered above the bowl, making it difficult for people to clearly see the dish. When the blue and white porcelain bowl was placed in front of Xiao Yenyu, the hazy aroma immediately rushed up. It was as if a rich aroma bomb had exploded in front of Xiao Yenyu. The fragrance was like rivers flowing into the ocean, instantly gushing into Xiao Yenyu's nostrils. A slight wave of air surged, causing the pink veil on her face to flutter, faintly revealing her beautiful face. Gulp. Xiao Yenyu's throat moved and a slight sound came from her lower abdomen. Her face immediately blushed and a pink blush appeared on her skin. This egg-fried rice could actually make a 4th-grade battle spirit feel hungry. It was too miraculous. When the smoke above the egg-fried rice dissipated, a dazzling golden light was immediately emitted from the porcelain bowl. Sun Qixiang and Xiao Xiaolong's faces were filled with astonishment. Xiao Yenyu even covered her red lips and let out a delicate cry. Chapter 8. A glowing egg-fried rice. Xiao Yenyu's beautiful eyes slightly widened and were filled with disbelief. When Xiao Xiaolong told her about it, she did not believe it. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, it still felt surreal. The rich aroma continuously assaulted Xiao Yenyu's nose. The aroma was like the caress of a lover, relaxing her body. There were no other distracting thoughts in her mind except for one: eat it. Xiao Yenyu was, after all, the goddess of the Light Wind Empire. Even in the face of delicious food, she still wanted to maintain her image. She gently lifted her veil, revealing a pair of tender and supple lips. Using a blue and white porcelain spoon to scoop up the egg-fried rice, the egg liquid that was not completely cooked was stretched along with the lifting of the spoon. It was like a golden silk thread, emitting bits of golden light. Steam rose from the blue and white porcelain spoon, accompanied by an even more intense aroma. Xiao Yenyu's skin, which was as soft as tofu, was flushed by the hot air and her face flushed red. "Sister, quickly try the taste of this improved egg-fried rice," Xiao Xiaolong hurriedly asked as he smelled the aroma of the egg-fried rice. He could not help but stare at Xiao Yenyu as she put a spoonful of egg-fried rice into her mouth. The blue and white porcelain spoon lightly clashed with Xiao Yenyu's pearly white teeth. The egg-fried rice entered her mouth without leaving a single grain behind. Xiao Yenyu narrowed her eyes as a wave of aroma rushed into her brain. It was as if an aroma bomb had exploded in her mouth. Her taste buds were completely enveloped and conquered by the flavor of the egg-fried rice. "Oh, so delicious." Xiao Yenyu's face was blurry as she moaned. Then, she ignored everyone else and stuffed the egg-fried rice into her small and delicate mouth. Her image of a goddess collapsed in a second. She had never eaten such delicious egg-fried rice before. She was a fourth-grade battle spirit who could practically abstain from eating. It was unbelievable that a bowl of egg-fried rice would stimulate her appetite. It was just as Xiao Xiaolong had said, this was a magical bowl of egg-fried rice. Gulp! Xiao Xiaolong looked at Xiao Yenyu, who had completely lost her image. Not only did he not mock her, he even revealed an envious expression. His stomach rumbled like thunder. Xiao Sun Qixiang was dumbfounded as he looked at Xiao Xiaolong, who was wolfing down the food. "It's just a bowl of egg-fried rice. Is there a need to be like this? Although this egg-fried rice smells really fragrant as a goddess, you don't have to throw away your image just for a bowl of egg-fried rice. Boss, is my egg-fried rice ready? Come up quickly, quick." Although that was what he was thinking, Sun Qixiang was even more curious about the egg-fried rice. He closed his paper fan, squinted his eyes, and shouted at Bufang, who seemed to be smiling at the goddess. Bufang raised his eyebrows and swept an indifferent glance at Sun Qixiang. Without saying a word, he turned around and entered the kitchen. "Hurry up! If I don't get to eat your egg-fried rice in 3 minutes, I will smash your little restaurant," Sun Qixiang threatened insolently. Expressionless, Bufang walked into the kitchen and took out a bag of white flour from the fridge. "Egg-fried rice? What a joke!" Sun Qixiang actually dared to threaten him. Since he dared to threaten a chef, he should go hungry first. He would soon understand the consequences of offending a chef, especially a narrow-minded one. Dry mixed noodles was actually very simple. It was just ramen noodles mixed with seasonings. However, it was different from ordinary dry mixed noodles. The noodles used in Bufang's dry mixed noodles were all handmade ramen noodles. The noodles were kneaded using a special method, so the texture was definitely extraordinary. For Bufang, who had practiced countless times, the time needed to make a bowl of dry mixed noodles was around 10 minutes. Including the kneading, his kneading technique was very pleasing to the eye. His hands seemed to have disappeared, leaving only afterimages as he kneaded the dough. After kneading, he pulled the noodles apart and sprinkled some flour on them. Then, he placed the slender noodles into boiling water. The water used to boil the noodles was not ordinary water. It was clear and translucent, without any impurities. As the water boiled, steam gushed out, and there seemed to be a sweet and refreshing smell. While the noodles were being boiled, Bufang began to season the seasonings. He followed a strict ratio of salt, soy sauce, and monosodium glutamate into a celadone bowl. Then, he took out the boiled noodles and poured them into the bowl. Using a pair of bamboo chopsticks, he stirred the noodles so that the color of the soy sauce completely seeped into the translucent ramen noodles. Just like that, a bowl of piping hot dry mixed noodles was completed. There was no soup, no eggs, and no vegetables. It was just plain dry mixed noodles. When Bufang walked out of the kitchen with the dry mixed noodles in his hands, the aroma was not as strong as when the egg fried rice was cooked. However, the color of the dry mixed noodles was enough to whet one's appetite. When Sun Qixiang saw Bufang walk out of the kitchen with a celadone bowl, he thought that his egg fried rice had arrived. He immediately walked up excitedly and wanted to take it. "This is that sissy's dry mixed noodles," Bufang expressionlessly said as he dodged Bufang's hand. Sun Qixiang's expression immediately stiffened. He angrily stared at Bufang and narrowed his eyes. "Didn't I tell you to cook egg fried rice? Who told you to cook dry mixed noodles? Do you still want to keep this store open?" Bufang completely ignored Sun Qixiang and placed the dry mixed noodles in front of Xiao Xiaolong. He calmly said, "This is the dry mixed noodles that you ordered, please enjoy." Xiao Xiaolong's eyes lit up. He was really tempted by the improved egg fried rice and was extremely hungry. The taste was truly irresistible. In fact, he even ignored the fact that Bufang called him a sissy. Even though the dry mixed noodles was not egg fried rice, it was still better than nothing. Furthermore, the color of the dry mixed noodles was red because of the soy sauce. Even though the aroma was not as strong as the egg fried rice, one could still feel a wave of fragrance lingering in one's nostrils. A bowl of dry mixed noodles that cost 100 gold coins, how could it be ordinary? Xiao Xiaolong picked up a strand of noodles with his chopsticks and impatiently stuffed it into his mouth. Slurp! Xiao Xiaolong's eyes widened. The noodles in his mouth seemed to have come to life and instantly flew into his mouth. They were extremely elastic and even bounced off the walls of his mouth after being bitten off. It brought a peculiar feeling to his mouth. That feeling was as if countless pairs of tiny hands were gently scratching his mouth. Xiao Xiaolong's mouth was still stuffed with noodles. He narrowed his eyes and shook his head with a face full of enjoyment. Xiao Xiaolong's table manners fell into Sun Qixiang's eyes, and he could not suppress his curiosity. He could not wait to immediately taste this delicacy. "Hurry up and go to the kitchen. I want to taste the egg fried rice and dry mixed noodles immediately." Sun Qixiang coldly glared at Bufang. "You seem to have forgotten who you are talking to. Also, don't rush me. If you rush me again, I will add you to my blacklist." Bufang furrowed his eyebrows and the dissatisfaction in his heart became even more intense. This guy was courting death. "You are so arrogant. Do you believe that I will tear down your store in minutes?" Sun Qixiang threatened as he used his paper fan to push against Bufang's chest. Bufang laughed. He rarely laughed, so his laugh was very stiff. Then, he did not say anything and turned around to enter the kitchen. After about 30 minutes, Bufang calmly walked out. Xiao Xiaolong and Xiao Yinyu had already finished their meal. However, they did not leave because they still had to pay the bill. Oh, it was mainly because they wanted to see the stir-fried vegetables. They had already seen the egg-fried rice and dry mixed noodles. The only thing left was the stir-fried vegetables. According to the style of this restaurant, the stir-fried vegetables were definitely not ordinary stir-fried vegetables. When Sun Qixiang saw his food being brought out, he, who was originally dispirited due to hunger, suddenly became excited. He hurriedly snatched the tray from Bufang's hands. There were 4 dishes on the tray. There were 2 bowls of egg-fried rice that were so fragrant that they almost burst the entire restaurant. There was also a bowl of dry mixed noodles with a beautiful luster, and a piece of verdant vegetable leaf. Sun Qixiang ordered all the dishes, so Bufang cooked all of them. It seemed like that piece of vegetable leaf might be the legendary stir-fried vegetables. Are you King retarded? Can't you wait until all the dishes are cooked before serving them? Are you trying to starve me to death? Sun Qixiang smelled the fragrance of the egg-fried rice in an intoxicated manner and turned around to scold Bufang. Bufang could not be bothered to reply. How could he expect to eat delicious food in time after offending a chef? It was already good enough that the dishes were not delayed by 2 to 4 hours. Why did Bufang order so early in the morning? It was not because he was afraid of Sun Qixiang, but because there was a reason. System, is the thing you gave me useful? Abyssal chili sauce. Specially selected black and red chili that grows in the abyss. It is extremely spicy, and after being absorbed by the abyssal devil's essence every day, it becomes extremely strong. Just a drop is enough to make one feel as if they are on fire. A spoonful is enough to make one's body distort and doubt the world. A jar is enough to make one die without a doubt. The system solemnly and seriously introduced the chili sauce that Bufang added into the egg-fried rice with an expressionless face. Chapter 9. That's right. Bufang was such a narrow-minded person. He was not a gentleman to begin with. Even though he had the dream of becoming the god of cooking that stood at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world, it did not change his character as a petty citizen on Earth. Please enjoy your meal, Bufang said expressionlessly as he looked at Sun Qixiang, who was salivating while looking at the egg-fried rice. Get lost. Don't disturb me while I'm eating. Sun Qixiang impatiently waved his hand and gestured for Bufang to leave. Bufang curled his lips and thought to himself, "You're awesome. I want to see how awesome you can be after you eat your first mouthful of egg-fried rice." Sun Qixiang no longer paid attention to Bufang and was about to start eating when he suddenly thought of something. He turned his head toward Xiao Yanyu, who had put on her veil again and was now dignified and elegant. "Beauty Yanyu, I ordered a lot of egg-fried rice. Do you want to join us?" Xiao Yanyu furrowed her pretty eyebrows for a moment. She was actually a little hesitant. When she thought of the delicious egg-fried rice, she really wanted to order another serving. However, she did not bring enough crystals with her. Moreover, the store's rules only allowed her to eat one bowl. Now that someone was treating her, it seemed like a good choice. However, before Xiao Yanyu could reply, Bufang, who was sitting on a chair, opened his mouth. "The egg-fried rice ordered by our customers can only be eaten by them. If you give it to others, you will be blacklisted as breaking the store's rules." "Oh, do you think I, Sun Qixiang, will be afraid? Blacklisted? If I want to eat it, why would I care about your rules? I will first get someone to beat you up like a dead dog and then force you to cook. You're just a small store. Do you really think you can do whatever you want?" Sun Qixiang angrily looked at Bufang. He was about to have lunch with Beauty Xiao, but it was ruined by this brat. It was simply intolerable. "Oh, I forgot to add one more thing. Not only will you be blacklisted, if she really eats it, she will be blacklisted as well. You guys might not know what it means to be blacklisted, but you're welcome to try," Bufang said unhurriedly. Xiao Yanyu completely dismissed the idea of eating the egg-fried rice ordered by Sun Qixiang. Sun Qixiang snorted coldly. He didn't care about Bufang's threat at all. Why would he, a rich young master of the imperial capital, be afraid of the threat of a chef from a small restaurant? Blacklisted? What a joke. Sun Qixiang didn't say anything. Looking at the 4 dishes in front of him that looked, smelled, and looked good, Sun Qixiang's appetite immediately increased. The egg-fried rice that was emitting a golden light almost blinded his eyes. He scooped up a spoonful of egg-fried rice with a blue and white porcelain spoon. The rich aroma was like a bomb exploding in his nasal cavity, intoxicating him. Without any hesitation, he stuffed the egg-fried rice into his mouth. The pearl-like rice grains rolled between his teeth and tongue. Each of them was very distinct, as if his tongue was experiencing a unique massage. Delicious! Sun Qixiang's eyes lit up. Then, he kept scooping up and putting down the egg-fried rice with the blue and white porcelain spoon. His mouth was already filled with it. As Xiao Bufang looked at Sun Qixiang, who was eating happily, the corners of his expressionless face slightly curled up, as if revealing a smile. Even though Xiao Yanyu had been looking at Sun Qixiang's egg-fried rice, she suddenly felt a chill coming from Bufang's body. She suspiciously turned her head to look and saw the stiff smile on Bufang's face. Eh? He's actually smiling? Xiao Yanyu was slightly surprised. Ever since she entered the store, the impression that Bufang gave her was that of a cold and arrogant chef. It was hard to imagine that this person could actually smile. Ah! Just when Xiao Yanyu turned her attention to Bufang, Sun Qixiang, who was happily eating, suddenly stopped. His small eyes that were like thin threads actually widened. The skin on his face turned from white to red, then from red to purple in a second. With a scream, Sun Qixiang opened his mouth wide and spat out the rice grains. He jumped up and down on the spot with his hands covering his throat and his tongue sticking out. Spicy, spicy. So King spicy. Sun Qixiang's tears flowed out from his eyes due to the spiciness. He felt as if his body was distorted by the spiciness, and he began to doubt this world. How could there be such a terrifying spiciness in this world? Water! Find water! Sun Qixiang ran around the store in an attempt to find water to alleviate the spicy taste in his mouth. The burning sensation made his entire mouth feel numb as tears continuously flowed down his face. Bufang sat on a stool and calmly looked at Sun Qixiang, who was running around. Suddenly, Sun Qixiang wanted to rush into the store's kitchen because there was no water around. It seemed like the only way to find water was to enter the kitchen. Just when Sun Qixiang was about to rush into the kitchen, a mechanical arm suddenly appeared. It grabbed Sun Qixiang's clothes and threw him out. The kitchen is a restricted area. Strangers are not allowed to enter. Bufang's robot assistant stood at the entrance of the kitchen and said in a mechanical voice. Xiao Yanyu and Xiao Xiaolong were dumbfounded as they watched this scene. Xiao Yanyu suddenly turned her head and looked at Bufang. Could he be the one who did all of this? Could it be revenge? That was a little scary. Adding a spicy chili to a dish that could make people doubt the world was simply inhumane. Young Master, water. Sun Qixiang's follower was very good at reading the situation. When Sun Qixiang anxiously jumped up and shouted for water, he had already rushed out and found a bag of water. Gulp, gulp. Sun Qixiang gulped down the water in one gulp to alleviate the spiciness in his mouth. Fortunately, he did not eat much and the spiciness did not last for too long. You're courting death. How dare you tamper with the egg-fried rice? Sun Qixiang was enraged and threw the bag of water on the ground. Bufang expressionlessly sat on a chair and pointed at the food. If you don't finish your food, you will be regarded as wasting food and will be blacklisted. Blacklist? Don't King mention blacklist to me. I will shut down your store today. Sun Qixiang angrily clenched his teeth and pointed his paper fan at Bufang. Destroy this store for me, Sun Qixiang said to the follower behind him. That follower immediately became spirited. He loved destroying stores the most. As such, he skillfully lifted the chair on the ground and was about to smash it onto the table. However, before he could smash the chair, he felt the bones in his arm breaking. With a scream, a lump of metal appeared behind the follower. That lump of metal stretched out its iron hand and easily broke the follower's arm. Troublemaker! Blacklist you and never allow to step into Fang's little store ever again. The mechanical voice sounded serious and serious. That follower was grabbed by the mechanical lump of metal and was thrown out of the store with a light fling. He fell outside and fell with his mouth full as he wailed in pain. You still dare to retaliate? Do you believe that I can call 100 people in a minute and tear down your store? Sun Qixiang was trembling with anger. There was actually a commoner in the imperial city who dared to defy him. Xiao Bai, strip him naked and throw him out. He wasted food and should be fined. Bu Fang stood up and yawned as he indifferently said to Xiao Bai. He then muttered, "Today's opening hours are over, it's time to close. You dare to ignore me? I'm a third-grade battle maniac. Killing you is as easy as killing an ant." Sun Qixiang angrily roared. The colorful robe on his body fluttered even though there was no wind and a glowing light was circulating around his body. Bang! Robot Xiao Bai slapped Sun Qixiang's head while he was in the middle of channeling his energy. The slap stunned him and he fell onto the ground. The true energy that he had gathered with great difficulty immediately dissipated. Then rip, F***ck. You really F***king stripped me? Do you know who I am? I F***king. Bang! Xiao Bai's robotic eyes flickered for a moment and it once again slapped Sun Qixiang's head, causing him to faint. Then, all of Sun Qixiang's clothes were stripped and all of his valuables were taken away. He was lightly tossed by Xiao Bai and landed in a beautiful arc at the entrance of the store. Sun Qixiang was stupefied at that moment and his body was shivering. Suddenly, he heard the sound of footsteps and a pair of golden boots made of dragon skin appeared in front of him. Zhao Rouge looked at Sun Qixiang, who was completely naked and only had a piece of cloth left, and immediately clicked his tongue. How did our young master's son end up in such a sorry state just for a meal? Chapter 10. Zhao Rouge was wearing a slender white robe. His face was fair and clean and his jet-black hair was held in place by a dark green hairpin. He was quite handsome and wore a pair of dragon skin boots with a belt inlaid with beautiful jade. He looked noble and elegant. Zhao Rouge. Sun Qixiang awkwardly stood up and covered the important parts of his body with his hands. He gloomily looked at the handsome man in front of him. I didn't expect young master's son to have this kind of hobby. Rouge has really broadened my horizons today. Zhao Rouge chuckled. His eyes wandered around Sun Qixiang's body like silk threads as he spoke with a strange expression on his face. Sun Qixiang's entire face was almost completely red. He turned his head to look at one of the servants behind Zhao Rouge. This servant was the one who had been following him previously. After stripping off the servant's clothes, Sun Qixiang's complexion became a little better. He ignored Zhao Rouge and instead turned to face Bu Fang's store and fiercely scolded. If I don't smash up your store tomorrow, my surname is not Sun. Just you wait. After scolding, Sun Qixiang's slender eyes glanced at Zhao Rouge and said, Great scholar Zhao, the goddess of your dreams is in that little restaurant. Let me kindly remind you that there is something strange about this little restaurant. The great beauty Xiao Yanyan seems to be sinking into it. After Sun Qixiang finished speaking, he swaggered away with a gloomy face without looking at Zhao Rouge's reaction. Sinking into it? The corners of Zhao Rouge's mouth slightly curled up and a meaningful smile appeared on his handsome face. He looked toward the simple and narrow little restaurant in the alleyway. For a little restaurant in such a remote place to have customers, especially the children of the noble General Xiao of the imperial city, Zhao Rouge would not believe that there was nothing strange about it. Zhao Rouge's curiosity was piqued and he walked toward the restaurant. He wanted to see just what kind of magical place was inside. However, before he reached the entrance, he saw the Xiao siblings walking out of the restaurant with a strange expression on their faces. At this moment, Xiao Yenyu's heart was in turmoil. It was not because Bu Fang had thrown Sun Qixiang out of the store, but because of the egg-fried rice. After eating the improved egg-fried rice, Xiao Yenyu realized that the true energy within her body was boiling and had increased by a lot. Even though it had not reached the level of a breakthrough, the increase was already very significant. A bowl of improved egg-fried rice could actually increase one's cultivation. Its effect was comparable to that of a grade 4 medicinal pill. Moreover, compared to medicinal pills, the taste of this egg-fried rice was simply too intoxicating. No wonder one had to be at least a third-grade battlemaniac to be able to order this improved version of egg-fried rice. Just the increase in true energy alone was more than what a second-grade battlemaster could have. Once a second-grade battlemaster ate it, not only would they not be able to break through, they would also explode from the sudden increase in true energy. Yenyu, what's wrong? When Zhao Rouge saw Xiao Yenyu, a hint of gentleness flashed across his eyes. He took a step forward and softly asked. Xiao Yenyu was completely immersed in the joy of the increase in her cultivation and completely ignored Zhao Rouge. Xiao Xiaolong, on the other hand, was vigilantly staring at Zhao Rouge. He did not expect Zhao Rouge to actually appear here. Could it be that Sun Qixiang had informed him? Looking at the two people who had ignored him and directly walked away, Zhao Rouge became even more curious. Just what was so mysterious about this store that could make Yenyu have such an expression? Welcome to my store again. After sending off the confused Xiao siblings, Bufang yawned and prepared to end the business for the day. The metal lump robot, Xiao Bai, returned to the kitchen and stood its ground. Before the door could be closed, a slender and handsome figure appeared in front of Bufang. Owner, don't close the door yet. I still want to taste your cooking. Zhao Rouge smiled as he looked at Bufang. He was elegantly and handsomely standing at the entrance of the store. A gust of wind blew past, causing Zhao Rouge's white robe to billow up. Bufang expressionlessly looked at Zhao Rouge. Zhao Rouge smiled at him. Oh, today's business hours are over. Please come back tomorrow. Bufang calmly said. After he finished speaking, he ignored Zhao Rouge and continued to close the door. Zhao Rouge's expression immediately froze. Was the owner rejecting a customer? How could this store dare to reject a customer? Isn't the business hours set by people? It can be changed, I can pay more. Zhao Rouge thought for a moment and said again. No. Bufang was expressionless. Zhao Rouge frowned. I'll pay twice the price. Is that okay? Bufang thought for a moment and still refused. No. Zhao Rouge was cursing in his heart. This store actually dared to say that he was fat? He did not believe that the other party would not take advantage of him. 3 times the price. No. 4 times the price. No. Zhao Rouge resisted the urge to kick Bufang's expressionless face and coldly said, 5 times. 5 times. Bufang's heart was bleeding. If it was 5 times the price, a bowl of improved egg-fried rice would cost 50 crystals and a bowl of normal egg-fried rice would cost 5 crystals. He felt as if countless small coins were dancing in front of his eyes. As a god of cooking who wants to stand at the top of the food chain in this fantasy world, you must have your own rules and integrity. You must adhere to your principles and not be tempted by money. You must not bend over for money. Just as Bufang was about to agree to Zhao Rouge's request, the system appropriately splashed a bowl of chicken soup over his head and completely woke Bufang up. Zhao Rouge was very pleased. He saw the hesitation on Bufang's face, which meant that he was about to agree. The owner of a small restaurant wants to talk about principles with me? There is no principle that cannot be broken with a pile of money. If it is not possible, then I will use 2 piles. Bufang took a deep breath and his expression became even more gloomy and ugly. He glanced at the complacent Zhao Rouge with a sour expression, then, bang! The door was tightly shut and the loud sound startled Zhao Rouge. What's going on? Owner, can you open the door? Do you still want to do business? What happened to the promise of being tempted and compromising? Why are you turning your back on me? No matter how well-mannered Zhao Rouge was, he was still a little flustered and exasperated. Even the #1 restaurant in the Imperial City, the Immortal Phoenix Restaurant, did not have as many rules as this store. This small restaurant that opened in a remote corner actually dared to talk about principles with him. Today's opening hours are over. If you want to eat, come earlier tomorrow. The sound of Bu Fang's lazy yawn came from behind the tightly shut door. Then, silence followed. After that, no matter how many times Zhao Rouge knocked on the door, there was no response. The big black dog lying at the door lazily glanced at Zhao Rouge before burying its head back to sleep. This big black dog seemed to only know how to eat and sleep. It had forcefully turned the life of a dog into the life of a pig. Zhao Rouge finally confirmed that he was rejected. The handsome and confident him was actually rejected by a small restaurant in the middle of nowhere. It was as if an invisible arrow had pierced through his heart. Zhao Rouge's fair palm was even surrounded by a hazy ring of true energy. With his cultivation level of third-grade battle maniac, he wanted to directly smash the store into smithereens. However, after thinking about it, he finally gave up. Very well. Tomorrow, I'll come over and see what kind of store actually dares to reject me, Zhao Rouge. Zhao Rouge was the son of the minister of the left and had a noble status. In the imperial city, everyone had to give him some face. Yet, he was actually humiliated in a small restaurant. This was simply a slap to his face. The furious Zhao Rouge dispersed the true energy in his hand and turned around to leave. The big black dog lay motionlessly on the ground. As it watched Zhao Rouge's departing figure, it rolled its eyes. Bu Fang returned to his room. He did not take Zhao Rouge's matter to heart at all. He let out another long yawn. He was so sleepy today. Lying on the bed, Bu Fang called out the system interface. Host, Bu Fang. Gender, male. Age 20. True energy cultivation. Grade 1. As the god of cooking in the fantasy world, the food in the future will definitely require true energy. Young man, work hard. Cooking talent, unknown. Skills, none. Tools, none. God of cooking overall rating. Beginner, a beginner who finally learned how to cook egg-fried rice with true energy. System rank. 1 star. A look of surprise immediately appeared on Bu Fang's face. My true energy cultivation has actually reached grade 1? Does the system have levels? Chapter 11. According to the classification of strength in the Hidden Dragon continent, a first-grade true energy was merely the lowest level of cultivation for a warrior. This level of cultivation could not even cause a ripple in the imperial city. However, what puzzled Bu Fang was how he obtained true energy. Could it be because he completed the system's mission? However, his first mission was to obtain his first customer. The reward he obtained was merely the improved egg-fried rice and a fragment of the God of Cooking set. There was no mention of true energy. System, can I obtain true energy and increase my strength by completing missions? Bu Fang asked in bewilderment. The system solemnly replied, the host's true energy level is related to the amount of crystals the host earns. After the host completes a specified transaction, the system will automatically convert the crystals obtained into the host's true energy level according to the ratio. The host can observe the progress of the cultivation level and the conversion ratio of crystals obtained after completing a mission through the character panel. The current system level is 1 star and the conversion ratio is 10%. After reaching 2 stars, the host will obtain more privileges in the store, including the ability to set up tables and chairs and allow customers to bring in their own low-grade ingredient. The host has obtained 22 crystals from this business. According to the ratio, the amount of crystals obtained is 2 crystals. The true energy level is equivalent to that of a warrior. Bu Fang was dumbfounded. It turned out that crystals could be used in such a way. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was normal. Crystals were essential for cultivators to cultivate and could be refined to increase the true energy level. The conversion from the system merely helped Bu Fang to save the refining process. Does that mean that the more crystals I earn, the stronger my cultivation level will be? The corners of Bu Fang's mouth gradually widened into a stiff smile. 10 crystals are required to reach the level of a second-grade battlemaster, 100 crystals are required to reach the level of a third-grade battlemaniac, 1,000 crystals are required to reach the level of a fourth-grade battlespirit, and 10,000 crystals are required to reach the level of a fifth-grade battleking, the system replied. Bu Fang. All right, the path of advancement was long and arduous. By the way, what do you mean by bringing in your own ingredients? Bu Fang was a little curious. The host can help the customers process their own ingredients in the restaurant and turn them into dishes. The price is set by the system according to the host's score for the dishes, the system still explained solemnly. Bu Fang's eyes slightly brightened. This was a very humane setting, a way for the system to expand his ability to earn crystals. Unfortunately, his current level was not high enough. In this fantasy world, there were all kinds of magical demonic beast meat and all kinds of precious plants. Those were all top-notch ingredients. If he allowed others to bring in ingredients with his processing, he would definitely be able to earn a lot of crystals. In order to upgrade the system, he needed to complete the missions issued by the system. The most recent mission: please make a profit of 100 crystals and 1,000 gold coins within a week. Mission progress: 22/100, 100/1000. Bu Fang sighed in his heart. This was another heavy and long mission. As an excellent chef, he must ensure the quality of his sleep. After Bu Fang withdrew his consciousness from the system panel, he slowly closed his eyes and fell asleep. After a while, even breathing sounds could be heard. The next morning, Bu Fang woke up on time. After washing up, he began his daily cooking practice. After practicing all the dishes he had learned, Bu Fang opened the store while yawning. The big black dog was still lying at the entrance of the store. It seemed like it had always been lying there and had not moved at all. Bu Fang was slightly surprised. "Good morning, Blackie," Bu Fang greeted expressionlessly. The big black dog rolled its eyes and ignored him. Bu Fang did not feel awkward. He walked back to the kitchen and put the egg-fried rice into a porcelain bowl. Then, he came out again and stood in front of Blackie while holding the bowl. "Blackie, it's time to eat," Bu Fang said. As Blackie smelled the fragrance of the rice, its sluggishness was swept away and it immediately became energetic. Its pink tongue stretched out and its pair of intelligent dog eyes stared expectantly at the porcelain bowl in Bu Fang's hand. Bu Fang was furious. This gluttonous dog changed its attitude the moment there was good food. After eating, it immediately wiped its mouth and did not recognize anyone. Where was the basic trust between a human and a dog? Did this dog not know that it was important to please him, the chef? Only by doing so would it have an endless supply of good food. Alright, Bu Fang did not know what to do with this dog that only had food in its eyes. He placed the porcelain bowl in front of Blackie. The dog wagged its tail and started eating from the bowl. Bu Fang pulled a chair over and curled up on it, waiting for the customers to come to his door in comfort and ease. It was another beautiful and simple day. At the same time, on the main street of the Imperial City, a large group of ferocious-looking people swarmed toward the store. The one leading the group was Sun Qixiang, who was wearing colorful clothes and had his chest exposed. The title of one of the 3 big profligates in the Imperial City was not a joke. The people on the street all avoided him and looked at him in fear. Sun Qixiang was very satisfied with the gazes of the people around him. "That's right. I want you to be afraid. This young master is so awesome, why are you not afraid? Follow me. Damn it, if I don't destroy that little restaurant today, my surname is not Sun." Yesterday, the scene of him being stripped naked and thrown out by that lump of metal in the restaurant haunted him like a nightmare, causing him to not be able to sleep well. Early in the morning, he gathered all the servants in the mansion and came to settle the score. When had he, Sun Qixiang, ever suffered such a huge loss? He would not feel comfortable if he did not kill Bufang. Xiao Yinyu did not go out today. After eating the improved egg-fried rice yesterday, she immediately went into seclusion after her true energy level increased. Therefore, Xiao Xiaolong was the only one running toward the restaurant. However, just as he reached the main street, he saw a spectacular scene. Sun Qixiang was leading more than 100 people to destroy the restaurant. Oh my God! I still want to eat egg-fried rice. Destroy your sister. Xiao Xiaolong was very angry. If the restaurant was destroyed, where was he going to find the delicious egg-fried rice that could increase his cultivation level? The more than 100 people majestically crossed the Immortal Phoenix restaurant and walked for dozens of miles before the surroundings became quiet. The alleyway, which was usually deserted, was packed with people today. Sun Qixiang's subordinates were holding onto wooden sticks as they coldly stared at the restaurant in the alleyway. Damn it, such a small restaurant actually dared to bully our young master Sunday. They are simply asking for a beating. At the entrance of the restaurant, Bufang was comfortably squinting his eyes as he curled up on a chair. The warm sunlight shone down on him and enveloped his figure, making him appear extremely lazy. As for the big black dog, it was wagging its tail and lying not far away from Bufang, wolfing down food from a porcelain bowl. The one with the surname Fang, this young master is here to destroy your restaurant. Sun Qixiang arrogantly pointed at Bufang with his paper fan and coldly shouted. This time, he brought so many people with him. He really did not believe that this kid would not be afraid. If Bufang does not kneel down and beg for mercy, this young master will not forgive him. The alleyway was terrifyingly quiet. After young Master Sun finished shouting, the anticipated Bufang, who was kneeling down and begging for mercy, did not appear. At this moment, the latter was still curled up on a chair as the warm sunlight shrouded his figure like a gauze. All of the servants widened their eyes as they looked at Sun Qixiang. He felt as if a flock of crows were flying over his head. There was no response. He was so embarrassed that he felt as if his entire body had been hollowed out. Sun Qixiang was immediately enraged. He felt as if Bufang had imperceptibly given him a few more slaps in the face. Smash everything! Smash everything you see! Tear down this restaurant for me! Damn it, I want this kid to know the consequences of offending me. Chapter 12. Xiao Xiaolong anxiously stood at the entrance of the alleyway. There were too many people in the alleyway, and he could not squeeze in. There were also many onlookers. Regardless of whether it was in the other world or modern society, there would always be a lot of people watching the show. This was a characteristic of humans. However, many of these people did not know what was going on. They just crowded at the entrance of the alley because of the crowd's desire to follow the crowd. Just as Xiao Xiaolong was having a headache about how to squeeze in, he suddenly felt someone patting his shoulder. He immediately turned his head in astonishment. A young man who was plump like jade and had an imposing appearance looked at him warmly. This young man wore a golden crown on his head and an embroidered robe. Flying beasts were embroidered on his belt, and a jade pendant hung at his waist. His entire person exuded a heroic and noble aura. When Xiao Xiaolong saw this man, his expression immediately changed. His eyes widened and his mouth opened wide. San. San. Xiao Xiaolong stuttered for a long time and did not manage to spit out a form of address. The young man raised his hand and stopped Xiao Xiaolong from speaking. He simply nodded and said, "Just call me third young master." "What are you looking at? Why are there so many people in this alleyway?" "Third young master, sigh, that Sun Qixiang is taking advantage of his position to bully others again." Xiao Xiaolong exhaled. He was somewhat excited. The identity of the young man in front of him was not ordinary. Sun Qixiang? The hedonistic son of Finance Minister Sun Qing? The third young master said after thinking for a moment. Xiao Xiaolong nodded and then happily asked, "Third young master, When did you return to the Imperial City? I didn't even hear anything about it. Does my sister know? The third young master chuckled. I returned to the Imperial City with a special edict and did not make it too public. Even Yenyu doesn't know, so it's even more impossible for you to know, Xiaolong. Xiao Xiaolong awkwardly fidgeted and blushed as he smiled. The young man once again glanced at the crowd and walked forward. He said to Xiao Xiaolong, Xiaolong, follow me. Let's go in and take a look. Then, the young man squeezed into the crowd. Rather than squeezing, it was more like walking. Every time the young man took a step forward, an invisible force would push the crowd in front of him away. A fifth-grade battle king is indeed powerful. Even a human wall can't stop him. Xiao Xiaolong looked at the carefree third young master and muttered enviously before quickly catching up. The two of them quickly squeezed into the innermost part of the crowd and happened to see Sun Qixiang giving the order for over 100 people to smash the store. The sunlight shone on Bufang's body. It was warm and made him feel a little lazy. There were more than 100 people in the alley. Although they were all clamoring to smash his store, as the owner, he was mysteriously calm and composed. He was really calm and not worried at all. Bufang's calm demeanor also drew Sun Qixiang's wrath. Under his command, dozens of people carried wooden sticks and charged fiercely at Bufang. When Xiao Xiaolong saw this scene, he became somewhat anxious and wanted to stop it. However, his figure was pulled back by the young man next to him, causing him to feel shocked. Young master, why are you blocking my way? That store owner seems to be very confident and doesn't seem to be afraid at all. That's why I'm very curious about his trump card, the young man said with a gentle smile on his face. Bufang was sitting in the store. Over a dozen people rushed in front of Bufang. One of them stepped into the range of the store and viciously swung the wooden stick in his hand at Bufang's head. These manservants had followed Sun Qixiang and done many things to bully men and women. They were long used to it and did not feel any burden in their hearts. Bang! The wooden stick that was swung at Bufang was sent flying high into the air. It spun in the air and then fell to the ground with a clang. The attacking manservants immediately stopped in their track. They looked at the lump of metal in front of them in astonishment and fear. Xiao Bai's mechanical eyes were constantly flickering. Its chubby figure was emitting a metallic luster as it stood in front of Bufang. Xiao Bai was a robot created by the system and kept in the store. It was responsible for the safety and waste disposal of the store. Normally, the store did not even have any customers, so there was naturally no safety issue. However, today there were over 100 people looking for trouble. Xiao Bai naturally had to bravely stand out. Fighting is prohibited in Fong Fong's little store. Those who violate the rules will be stripped as an example to others. The mechanical voice came out from Xiao Bai's mouth. In the quiet alleyway, it inexplicably sounded somewhat comical. The group of manservants was dumbfounded. Where did this piece of metal come from? It actually dared to block their path of over 100 people? The cultivation level of this group of people was very weak. The strongest among them was only a first-grade warrior. However, they were outnumbered. Even though there was a gap between the cultivation level of a warrior and a combat master, a warrior could still defeat a combat master when there were enough people. This puppet-like piece of metal in front of them did not have any true energy flowing within its body. It was harmless to both humans and animals, so there was no need for them to worry about it. It's this piece of metal, King, dismantle it for me. When Sun Qixiang saw the piece of metal Xiao Bai, his eyes turned red and his rage instantly exploded. This brat still dares to mention stripping. After receiving Sun Qixiang's order, the manservants once again rushed into the store. However, the next scene caused their speed to suddenly come to a halt. That was because the manservant at the very front was thrown out. His clothes were stripped within a second, leaving only a piece of cloth covering his private parts. The second one, the third one. The people who rushed into the store were all sent flying out. They went in with their clothes on and came out with their naked bodies. Just like that, their shining white bodies fell into the alleyway. So dirty. A girl who was watching the scene was blushing. Her fingers were spread wide open, covering her face. However, her big eyes were looking through the gaps between her fingers. Her little face was completely red. Sun Qixiang's face almost turned ashen from anger as he watched the naked figures being sent flying out one after another. You bunch of trash, can't you all just come at me together? Going at me one by one is like eating **t. His enraged voice caused the manservants to wake up from their dreams. They looked at each other and immediately brandished their rods as they charged toward the piece of metal Xiao Bai. 5 people consecutively squeezed into the store that was not very spacious, but the outcome was still the same. The people who entered were all sent flying out. Their clothes were all stripped off and they were eaten by Xiao Bai as if they were trash. In the blink of an eye, more than 100 people were lying naked in the alleyway, wailing in pain. Sun Qixiang's legs were slightly trembling. He really felt like he had just been f***ed. With more than 100 people, even a third-grade battle maniac would have to avoid them. He could never have imagined that there would be such an awesome piece of metal puppet in a small restaurant. Bufang had been calmly sitting behind Xiao Bai the entire time and expressionlessly watching. After more than 100 people were completely naked, he lazily got up, yawned, and left his chair. He stood at the entrance of the store condescendingly, pointed at Sun Qixiang, whose face was ashen, and simply said, "Xiao Bai, strip him as well and let him go back naked. This guy has affected my mood when I'm cooking today. If I don't punish him, I won't feel good." "Yes." Whitey's robotic voice rang out, causing Sun Qixiang's expression to change. He immediately turned around and planned to run, but Whitey's arm suddenly detached itself from Sun Qixiang's body. It crossed a distance of tens of meters and grabbed onto Sun Qixiang's clothes, pulling him into the store. "Those who cause trouble in Fang Fang's little store will be stripped as an example to others," Xiao Bai mechanically said. Sun Qixiang wanted to cry. He felt wrong. "You were the one who pulled me into the store, all right?" Bang! Sun Qixiang's naked body was once again sent flying and fell on the alleyway. More than 100 naked bodies were squeezed together, forming a beautiful scenery. "Oh, this scene is too dirty." The eyes of the onlooker were almost popping out from the gaps between her fingers and her face was flushed red. Sun Qixiang did not have the face to stay there any longer. A majestic group of more than 100 people was so imposing, but in the end, this was really a sad story. The majestic group of people returned even more majestically naked, causing a huge uproar in the imperial city. As they passed through the streets of the imperial city, countless onlookers surrounded them and gossiped about them, causing the traffic in the imperial city to temporarily come to a standstill. The crowded alleyway quickly became spacious and the crowd also dispersed. Only a few people who were attracted by the store stayed behind. "There's actually a restaurant in this alleyway? I've lived in the imperial city for so many years and I didn't even know about it," an auntie said in surprise. "This little restaurant seems to have a powerful background. It even dares to strip young Master Sun." An old man exclaimed, "That robot is so cute. Why don't we take a look at the restaurant for it?" Some of the young girls were actually infatuated with the lump of metal. As a result, many people stepped into the store out of admiration. Bufang, who had just returned to the kitchen, was expressionless. However, the corners of his mouth were twitching. "I hope these people won't be frightened by the prices in the store." Chapter 13. For the first time, Fang Fang's little store became lively. Due to the incident of 100 streaking people, Fang Fang's little store was finally known by the surrounding neighbors. Even though everyone was complaining about the store's remote location, they still stepped into the store out of curiosity. An auntie, who was carrying a baby who was still shaking his nose, stepped into Fong Fong's little store. The small store was very clean, and there was not a single speck of dust on the table, which was a testament to the carefulness of the owner. The environment was very warm, and it gave people a comfortable feeling. In terms of decoration, this was a small shop of high quality. "Oh my, owner, is there anything delicious here? The decoration of your store is really amazing. It's comparable to the boxes at the Immortal Phoenix restaurant." The middle-aged woman wiped the child's snot on her clothes and said to Bufang after wiping the child's snot. Bufang expressionlessly stared at the auntie's hand. "It's as if you've been to a place like the Immortal Phoenix restaurant. Women only know how to brag." The grandpa was displeased and disdainfully snorted. The auntie immediately exploded. She put down the child in her arms, placed her hands on her hips and widened her eyes, intending to fight the grandpa for 300 rounds. "Ahem, customers, if you want to order, the menu is behind you. If you want to fight in real life, please do so outside the store," Bufang simply said, interrupting the battle that was about to break out between the two neighbors. The auntie coldly snorted. When she remembered that she was in someone else's store, she stopped quarreling. She turned around to look at the menu and muttered, "I think you're a good lad. It's not easy to run a restaurant, so I'll support your business. I'll give you one serving." The auntie was suddenly speechless. She stared at the menu as if she had seen a ghost, and the corner of her mouth was violently trembling. The grandpa was puzzled. When he turned around and saw the auntie's expression, he followed her gaze and almost vomited blood. "Oh my God! 1 crystal for a bowl of egg-fried rice? 100 gold coins for a plate of stir-fried vegetables. Why don't you just go rob someone?" The grandpa was so shocked that his beard was about to fall off. The auntie's plump body was also trembling. She sharply said, "Lad, you're being unreasonable. With this price, who would dare to eat here?" The old man and the old woman, who were supposed to be at odds with each other, actually became united against a common enemy, and they both pointed their spears at Bufang. Bufang was calm and composed, his face expressionless. "Our restaurant has its own rules. If you want to eat, then order. If you don't, please leave." As a god of cooking who wanted to stand at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world, Bufang had his own pride. The middle-aged woman looked at Bufang as if she was looking at a lunatic. She pulled the child who was still shaking his nose and hurriedly left. The old man also walked out of the store while shaking his head. Bufang didn't mind it at all. This situation was already within his expectations. The price of the dishes in his restaurant was destined to lose a lot of customers, because not everyone could afford such a horrifying price. Most of the people who entered the store behaved the same way as the middle-aged woman. They yelled out after seeing a ghost and left. They came and left quickly. The bustling Fong Fong's little store once again returned to its desolate state. Basically, no one was willing to spend money here. Xiao Xiaolong brought the young man into the restaurant. His expression was somewhat excited. Since his sister wasn't here today, the crystals he brought should be enough for him to eat the improved egg-fried rice, right? The enhanced version of the egg-fried rice could only be ordered by a third-grade battle maniac. This meant that the egg-fried rice was definitely extraordinary. Previously, the ordinary egg-fried rice allowed him to make a breakthrough in his cultivation. This enhanced version of the egg-fried rice would definitely make him soar. "Xiao Xiaolong, are you saying that the egg-fried rice in this restaurant is delicious?" The young man stood with his hands behind his back. He had an extraordinary temperament as he glanced at the store and simply said, "That's right. Third young master, the egg-fried rice in this store is the best I've ever eaten. Even my family's chef, oh no, even the egg-fried rice cooked by your family's chef pales in comparison to the ones here." Xiao Xiaolong thought of the fragrance of the egg-fried rice cooked by Bufang. He squinted his eyes with a face full of enjoyment. The third young master was slightly surprised. To receive such a high evaluation from Xiao Xiaolong, His family's chef must not be an ordinary chef. However, how could the egg-fried rice in front of him be inferior to the egg-fried rice of this remote store? The third young master suddenly became interested and turned around to look at the menu. The exorbitant price that was almost unbearable for ordinary people caused the third young master to be slightly surprised. He raised his eyebrows and a hint of disbelief appeared on his handsome face. The egg-fried rice here is paid with crystals? The improved egg-fried rice costs 10 crystals? There's even a cultivation level requirement for the customer? The pricing and rules on the menu completely changed the third young master's worldview. He didn't know that egg-fried rice could be sold in such a manner. Third young master, believe me. My sister went into seclusion after eating the improved egg-fried rice yesterday. Her true energy cultivation directly increased by a small level. Xiao Xiaolong said. Oh, it's that amazing? The third young master was surprised. Xiao Yanyu was a 4th grade battle spirit. A bowl of egg-fried rice could increase the cultivation level of a 4th grade battle spirit? Was this still egg-fried rice? Was it an elixir? Boss, give me a bowl of the improved egg-fried rice. My cultivation level is high enough, so there's no need to check, the third young master gently said to the aloof Bufang who was standing nearby. I'll also have a bowl of the improved egg-fried rice, Xiao Xiaolong hurriedly said. However, he was interrupted by the third young master. The third young master squinted his eyes and gently smiled as he patted Xiao Xiaolong's head. Xiaolong, how many crystals did you bring? Xiao Xiaolong's expression immediately stiffened. Why did these words sound so familiar? 10 crystals. That's enough. Xiao Xiaolong looked at the pouch in the third young master's hand with a face full of despair. He felt as if 10,000 invisible arrows had pierced into his heart. Next time, I'll treat you to a meal. The third young master smiled and said, I forgot to bring money when I went out for a walk today. Xiao Xiaolong's eyes were filled with tears. Why was it so difficult to eat a bowl of egg-fried rice? Boss, give me a bowl of dry mixed noodles and a bowl of stir-fried vegetables. Bufang expressionlessly nodded. 1 bowl of the improved egg-fried rice, 1 bowl of dry mixed noodles, and 1 bowl of stir-fried vegetables. All right, please wait a moment, Bufang repeated, then turned around and went into the kitchen. Xiao Xiaolong and the third young master found a table and sat down. The third young master was very satisfied with the elegant environment. I didn't expect there to be such an elegant restaurant in the Imperial City. I didn't even notice it before. Where's the puppet that fought against 100 people? The third young master's gaze swept across the surroundings. He had a deep impression of Xiao Bai. It was indeed rare for a puppet to be so full of spirit energy. The Hidden Dragon continent was a world where sects stood in great numbers and empires reigned supreme. Here, empires were the orthodox sections. Neither the righteous sects nor the demonic sects were recognized. The current emperor of the Light Wind Empire, Emperor Changfeng, had been on the throne for more than 70 years. He implemented a policy of enlistment to the sections. The sects that accepted the enlistment were scattered and incorporated into the army. Those that refused to accept the enlistment, the emperor would send troops to conquer them. The Light Wind Empire had been established for more than 1,000 years. It was an era when the sects were at their peak. Back then, there were endless battles between the sects, and they were no longer worthy of fame. After more than 1,000 years of development, the sects gradually weakened under the glory of the empire. After 2 failed sect uprisings, they were completely suppressed by the imperial court. In the current Hidden Dragon continent, the sects were on the decline. There were only a few hundred sects left in the world. Compared to the glorious era of tens of thousands of sects, it was indeed miserable. Among the remaining few hundred sects, only the 10 major sects were still struggling under the pressure of the empire. The third young master had once encountered a declining sect. That sect researched the art of puppets. Their research on puppets had already reached the acme of perfection. He wondered if the puppets in this store had any connection with that sect. However, Xiao Bai's appearance was completely different from the puppets researched by that sect. Furthermore, there was no true energy circulating in Xiao Bai's body. Therefore, the possibility of Bu Fang being a remnant of that sect was not high. Just as he was thinking about this, a rich aroma suddenly floated out of the kitchen. The aroma was like silk that streaked across his face. The third young master suddenly opened his eyes wide, and a sudden hunger rose in his stomach. "It smells so good," he exclaimed. Xiao Xiaolong had long been immersed in the sea of fragrance. His eyes became hazy. Just this aroma alone was enough to rival the dishes cooked by his chef, and it might even be better. After a long time, a slender figure walked out of the kitchen. Bu Fang expressionlessly held a blue and white porcelain plate in his hands. The rich aroma shrouded the top of the porcelain plate. "Your improved egg-fried rice, please enjoy your meal," Bu Fang calmly said as he placed the blue and white porcelain plate in front of the third young master. Then, he turned around and returned to the kitchen. The third young master took a deep breath. A wave of aroma flowed through his nostrils and into his stomach. It aroused his gluttony, and a feeling of hunger assaulted him like a tidal wave. The rich aroma condensed above the porcelain plate and did not dissipate. As he scooped up the first spoonful of egg-fried rice, the condensed aroma suddenly dispersed. It was as if an aroma bomb had exploded. The surging aroma instantly attacked the third young master. Chapter 14. After scooping a spoonful of egg-fried rice into his mouth, the rich egg fragrance instantly enveloped the third young master's taste buds. The pearl-like rice grains seemed to be bouncing in his mouth. The rice fragrance mixed with the egg fragrance was like a cloud that could not be dispersed. It wrapped around his body and made him feel as if he was swimming in a sea of fragrance. The third young master was intoxicated. He had indeed never eaten such delicious egg-fried rice before. Xiao Xiaolong was right, even his family's chef could not cook such delicious egg-fried rice. After finishing the first spoonful of egg-fried rice, the second spoonful was stuffed into his mouth without stopping. In front of delicious food, the only thing left to do was to gorge and immerse himself in the delicacy. This was the greatest respect for a chef. Xiao Xiaolong enviously watched this scene. The gluttonous bug in his stomach had long been lured out. The rich aroma of Bu Fang's egg-fried rice was simply unimaginable. It was as if all of the aroma had been gathered together and released in an instant. Bu Fang indifferently looked at the third young master, who was gorging himself, and the corners of his mouth slightly curled up. In front of delicacies, status did not matter. Even an emperor would be captivated by real delicacies. Even though he did not know the identity of the third young master, he did not want to know either. At this moment, he only knew that the third young master was his customer, and that was enough. Bu Fang turned around and returned to the kitchen. He skillfully took out the flour, kneaded and pulled the noodles. Finally, he poured the boiled noodles into a bowl that had already been prepared and mixed it with chopstick. A bowl of steaming hot dry mixed noodles was soon out of the wok. After cooking the dry mixed noodles, Bu Fang did not immediately take it out. Instead, he took out a bundle of vegetables from the freezer. The vegetables were verdant and glossy. There were still water droplets on them that had yet to dry. The water droplets reflected the light and emitted a gentle glow. These vegetables are wild purple chestnut vegetables selected from the mountainside of Mount Tiandang. Every day, it receives 6 hours of sunlight and 2 hours of nourishment from the mountain rain. The soil contains water from the heaven lake of Mount Tiandang. The best time to harvest it is early in the morning, when the dew has yet to fade. This is to maintain the vitality and nutrition of the purple chestnut vegetables. The system's introduction of the vegetables quickly appeared in Bu Fang's mind. He could not help but smack his lips. It sounded very classy. No wonder a bowl of stir-fried vegetables cost 100 gold coins. This heaven-shaking mountain was a very famous mountain in the Hidden Dragon continent. At the top of the mountain there was a heaven pond. The water in the pond was said to be full of heaven and earth spiritual energy. Drinking it could clear one's meridians and enhance one's cultivation. This green vegetable grew halfway up the heaven-shaking mountain, which was enough to show that it was extraordinary. He had cooked vegetables countless times. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Bufang's handling of vegetables had reached a magical level. When he took the vegetables out of the pot and placed them in the bowl, the vegetables didn't seem to have changed at all. They were still green and lush, as if they hadn't been stir-fried. In fact, it was because Bufang's control of the fire was so precise that the water in the vegetables was not lost at all. She carried the dry mixed noodles and stir-fried vegetables out of the kitchen and placed them in front of Xiao Xiaolong. "Here are your dry mixed noodles and stir-fried vegetables. Please enjoy," Bufang expressionlessly said. Xiao Xiaolong's eyes immediately lit up. He took the dry mixed noodles and began to gorge himself. He was already hungry after watching the third young master eat the egg-fried rice. By the time Xiao Xiaolong started eating, the third young master had already finished his bowl of egg-fried rice. Bufang did not have a lot of egg-fried rice, so he finished it quickly. However, even though the amount was small, the quality was good. Delicious! Delicious! The third young master resisted the urge to lick the bowl and gave Bufang a thumbs up. "Boss, your egg-fried rice is not ordinary. The ingredients used are definitely not ordinary. I can feel the spirit energy contained within the egg-fried rice. After eating it, I actually felt my true energy level rise. Even though it didn't rise by much, it's already a rare thing." The third young master could not stop praising. He was a 5th-grade battle king. The fact that his egg-fried rice experienced such a small rise in his true energy level was enough to show how extraordinary it was. "If I'm not mistaken, your egg should be the egg of a 5th-grade demonic beast, the deep-sea sparrowhawk, right?" Bufang looked at the third young master in surprise. He did not expect the other party to be able to guess the origin of his egg. Improved egg-fried rice. The egg is the first egg laid by a 5th-grade demonic beast, the deep-sea sparrowhawk. It was nourished and impacted by the energy of the deep sea. The egg is rich in spirit energy. The rice used is the Wuchang King rice from the southern wasteland. The grains are plump and nutritious. It is the rice offered to the emperor every year. As expected, a gentle smile appeared on the corners of the third young master's mouth. His guess was right. The egg was indeed the egg of a 5th-grade demonic beast, the deep-sea sparrowhawk. He had tasted this type of demonic beast's egg before. However, the way he ate it was not egg-fried rice, but a simple fried egg. The rich fragrance that burst forth from the egg was unbelievable. The third young master did not pay much attention to it. He was not unfamiliar with this rice. The third young master also noticed the plate of stir-fried vegetables. He clearly remembered that this bowl of stir-fried vegetables cost 100 gold coins. This was not a cheap price. Therefore, he was very curious about what was so special about this stir-fried vegetables. Could it be that this stir-fried vegetables have some kind of origin? The third young master asked curiously. The stir-fried vegetables are chosen from the purple ling vegetables that grow halfway up the Tiandang mountain. They are picked early in the morning to ensure that the spirit energy within them is abundant. Bufang said. So it was the purple ling vegetables. The third young master suddenly understood. Purple ling vegetables were a very precious vegetable. It grew in an extremely harsh environment. However, it was rich in nutrients and could penetrate the meridians. It was a rare top-notch ingredient. If it was the purple ling vegetables, then 100 gold coins for a bowl of stir-fried vegetables was really not expensive. So awesome! Xiao Xiaolong's mouth was covered in grease. When he heard the third young master and Bufang talking about stir-fried vegetables, his eyes immediately lit up. After swallowing the ramen in his mouth, Xiao Xiaolong used his chopsticks to pick up the verdant purple ling vegetables that seemed as if it had never been stir-fried before. Is it really cooked? Xiao Xiaolong asked doubtfully. He first sniffed it with his nose. A warm and fragrant scent wafted out from the vegetable leaf. Only then did he confirm that the stir-fried vegetables were cooked. He placed the vegetables into his mouth and gently clamped his teeth together. A crisp, crunching sound rang out. Xiao Xiaolong's eyes immediately widened. He felt as if there was an ice-cold clear stream flowing out from his mouth. The clear stream was sweet and fragrant, and it permeated his taste buds, making him feel refreshed. The clear stream entered his mouth and entered his stomach. It was as if it had spread to his limbs and bones. That feeling was simply indescribable. It was as if several beautiful women were kneading his body with their soft hands. Is this really stir-fried vegetables? Xiao Xiaolong was astonished. It was the first time he had eaten stir-fried vegetables like this. It was simply indescribable to describe the feeling of satisfaction he felt at this moment. This stir-fried vegetables is a great test of the chef's skill. Because the nutrition and moisture of the vegetables must be preserved without leaking, the chef must have a very high requirement of fire control and timing, the third young master commented. He also swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Bufang nodded his head. What the third young master said was basically correct. This stir-fried vegetables was indeed the dish that tested the chef's skill the most out of all the dishes. May I know how to address the owner? The third young master suddenly stood up and gently smiled at Bufang. My surname is Bufang. Bufang was startled for a moment, but he gave a concise answer. So it's Owner Bu. I have nothing but admiration for Owner Bu's culinary skills. To be honest, I am the third prince of the Light Wind Empire, Ji Qingxue. The third young master smiled faintly. Xiao Xiaolong was stunned. Xiao Xiaolong was stunned. Why did the young master reveal his identity? Oh! Bufang expressionlessly looked at Ji Qingxue. So this guy in front of him was a prince. Was a prince that amazing? Ji Qingxue was surprised when he saw Bufang's expressionless face. He was completely unsurprised by his identity. I wonder if Owner Bu would be willing to be my chef and serve me exclusively? Owner Bu, you don't have to worry about the salary. How about 100 crystals a month? Ji Qingxue said with a smile. He believed that Bufang would not be able to reject this request. To be his chef was the dream of many chefs in the empire. It was a chance to reach the heavens in a single step. Furthermore, the astronomical salary of 100 crystals a month was even higher than the salary of a chef in the imperial kitchen. Xiao Xiaolong was dumbfounded once more. What the F***ck, the third prince was being dishonest. Was he trying to poach Owner Bu? How was he going to eat delicious egg-fried rice that could increase his cultivation in the future? Owner Bu, you have to resist the temptation. You can't be conquered by the third prince. Bufang expressionlessly looked at the confident third prince, Ji Qingxue. The latter was also looking at him expectantly. Oh, to be your chef? Yes. No, you don't have the qualifications. Under Ji Qingxue's expectant gaze, Bufang said indifferently. Chapter 15. Ji Qingxue's expectant gaze suddenly froze and his face stiffened. He actually rejected me. Ji Qingxue was in disbelief. He was a prince, the third prince of the empire with a high status. Many people would love to have a relationship with him, yet his personal invitation was mercilessly rejected. Especially the reason for the rejection: you are not qualified. Ji Qingxue recalled Bufang's expressionless face when he said those words and felt as if an invisible arrow had pierced his heart. However, Ji Qingxue was quite shrewd. Even though he was rejected, he did not get angry and only smiled. That's right, I, the third prince, am indeed not qualified. Ji Qingxue sighed with a hint of loneliness, as if something had touched his heart. Emperor Chongfeng of the Light Wind Empire had 3 sons. The eldest prince, Ji Chungan, was conferred the title of Crown Prince 10 years ago. The second prince, Ji Qingyu, was also conferred the title of prince by Emperor Chongfeng. Only his third son, Ji Qingxue, was not favored by Emperor Chongfeng and was only a general in the army. Even though the status of a general was already very high, it was still shabby when compared to the eldest and second princes. Third prince. Xiao Xiaolong worriedly opened his mouth when he saw Ji Qingxue's desolate expression. However, he was interrupted by Ji Qingxue before he could finish. Owner Bu, if you don't want to be my chef, have you ever thought of entering the imperial kitchen to be the emperor's personal chef? If I am not qualified, then the emperor should be qualified. Ji Qingxue chuckled. Bufang glanced at him indifferently and furrowed his brows. Was this guy stupid or what? Did he not make himself clear enough? I don't want to be anyone's chef, not even the emperor. If you want to eat, come straight here. Line up if you need to and pay if you need to. Bufang wanted to become the god of cooking who stood at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world. How could he be limited to being someone's chef? Ji Qingxue was silent. He could understand why Bufang refused to be his chef, but it was inconceivable for Bufang to refuse to be the emperor's chef. Wasn't it the dream of every chef in the world to enter the imperial kitchen and become an emperor's personal chef? What was Bufang's dream? 10 crystals for the improved egg fried rice. Pay up, thank you. Bufang said expressionlessly. He didn't want to waste his breath on this prince. Here's 200 gold coins, he conveniently said to Xiao Xiaolong. Ji Qingxue took a deep look at Bufang and handed him 10 crystals. Xiao Xiaolong also paid 200 gold coins. Then, the two of them left the store. A store that was only 10 square meters in size and did not even have a signboard, a big black dog lying at the entrance, a skinny and tall chef with principles, a mysterious puppet, perfect culinary skills, and those unknown high-grade ingredients. Fang Fang's little store was full of mysteries. Ji Qingxue walked out of the store and looked back at the store. The corner of his mouth curled up. Interesting. After cleaning up the bowls and chopsticks, the store became deserted again. Bufang sat down beside the lazy blackie and continued to bask in the sun. However, the store's reputation had spread due to the farce caused by Sun Qixiang. The news of the store's sky-high prices had also spread throughout the imperial city due to the fuss made by the neighbors. There's a weird restaurant in that alley. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Are you talking about that black-hearted restaurant that sells a bowl of egg fried rice for 10 crystals? That owner must be a fool. How could anyone eat at that price? If his egg fried rice could be sold, I would eat all the pancakes in my pancake shop. There were always rich people in this world. Their pursuits were different from ordinary people, and their way of looking at problems was also different. Bufang's comfort did not last long. Several figures walked into the store. Bufang lazily curled up on a chair and glanced at the group of fatties that had stepped into the store. These fatties were all wearing gorgeous silk clothes. Their thick fingers were adorned with golden rings. Beautiful jade hung around their necks and their belts were inlaid with emerald. What a group of unconventional nouveau riches. Bufang sighed in his heart. Owner, I heard that the dishes in your store are very expensive, even more expensive than the Immortal Phoenix restaurant. We believe that the more expensive the dishes, the better the quality. If your dishes can satisfy our stomachs, the price is not a problem. The leader of the group was a fatty dressed in gorgeous clothes. They squeezed into the store and actually took up almost all of the space in the store. Bufang expressionlessly stood up and said, What do you want to eat? The fatties glanced at the menu and narrowed their eyes. The egg fried rice that cost 10 crystals still caused this group of rich and overbearing fatties to suck in a breath of cold air. Sure, your store is really awesome. Just give me the improved egg fried rice, the fatties said. Gentle reminder. The cultivation level of the improved egg fried rice must be at least 3rd grade Battlemaniac. It is best not to order it if your cultivation level is not high enough, Bufang lightly said. Our big brother Jean is an expert with Qinggong Yi Mei. How could his cultivation level be lower than 3rd grade Battlemaniac? You just have to cook. The other fatties immediately started to clamor. Bufang's expression remained unchanged, and he was as calm as still water. He nonchalantly glanced at the fatties and thought, this figure has nothing to do with Yi Mei. In the end, the group of fatties ordered 3 servings of improved egg fried rice, 4 servings of normal egg fried rice, 7 servings of dry mixed noodles, and 7 servings of stir-fried vegetables. Even someone as calm as Bufang twitched the corner of his mouth. As expected of big brothers with such a physique, they can really eat. It was a blessing to be able to eat. Bufang liked people who could eat a lot. He stepped into the kitchen and devoted himself to cooking. Soon, a rich fragrance wafted out from the kitchen and wafted through the entire store. It smells so good. I've never smelled such a fragrant egg fried rice. The group of fatties narrowed their eyes in an intoxicated manner and fiercely sniffed. They were looking forward to this dish more and more. Just as the group of fatties was waiting to eat, a slender, gentle, and elegant figure slowly walked over from the entrance of the store. Zhao Ruge's expression suddenly twitched as he looked at the pile of fat people in the store. Why are there so many people? Zhao Ruge was a little surprised. Fatty Jean? It's actually him. Zhao Ruge quickly recognized the identity of one of the fatties. Fatty Jean, full name Jean Fugue, was a famous nouveau riche in the imperial city. His family monopolized a crystal mine, so he was extremely rich. The other fatties were also famous moneybags in the imperial city. This group of fellows actually came to this store to eat? Don't they think it's beneath their status? Make way, let me in. Zhao Ruge lightly waved his paper fan, causing one of the fatties to tremble and make way. Zhao Ruge followed this small gap and squeezed into the store. He just happened to bump into Bufang, who was walking out of the kitchen with a bowl of egg-fried rice in his hand. A rich aroma wrapped around Zhao Ruge like silk and completely enveloped him, causing him to feel as if he was immersed in a fragrance bomb. Owner, quickly serve the dishes. We can't wait any longer. The fat on Fatty Jin's face trembled as he impatiently shouted. Your improved egg-fried rice, please enjoy your meal, Bufang simply said as he placed the egg-fried rice on the table. Then, he turned around and was about to return to the kitchen. Zhao Ruge woke up from his intoxication and was surprised by Bufang's culinary skills. No wonder Yinyu was captivated by his culinary skills. Wait, cook me a bowl of improved egg-fried rice first, Zhao Ruge arrogantly said to Bufang. Hey! Damn skinny! Don't you understand the concept of first come, first served? When a fattai saw Zhao Ruge actually cutting the line, he immediately became unhappy and gruffly shouted. Zhao Ruge disdainfully glanced at the fattai and sneered. Do I need to queue behind you for a meal? Who do you think you are? *CK me. I have a bad temper. That fattai was instantly enraged. I am the big boss of the Imperial City's splendid workshop. Who do you think you are? I am Zhao Ruge, Zhao Ruge simply said with confidence and arrogance. Zhao Ruge, the son of the Minister of the Left, was extremely noble. Once this name came out, the words that the fattai was about to curse out were immediately stuck in his throat as he widened his eyes. Then, he resentfully glanced at Zhao Ruge with a face full of unwillingness. Fine. Since your father is awesome, I won't argue with you anymore. Chapter 16. Zhao Ruge was actually a very low-key person. He never told others that he was the son of the Minister of the Left because he did not want to grow up under his father's protection. Strictly speaking, Zhao Ruge was not a good-for-nothing like Sun Qixiang because he was a person with ideals. He hoped that one day, when people mentioned him, the first thing they would think of would be himself and not his identity as the son of the minister of the left. Therefore, Zhao Rouge started practicing martial arts at the age of 5, read poetry and books at the age of 9, and read all the classics at the age of 15. If he wanted to become a strategist, he needed to have the corresponding knowledge and experience. Even though Zhao Rouge did not do anything amazing in the past few years, his efforts were not in vain. At least in the capital, many people were still somewhat afraid of Zhao Rouge's name. Fatty Jean was one of them. As the owner of an entire crystal mine, he could not avoid having dealings with high-ranking officials of the imperial court. Therefore, he was more knowledgeable than others. He also knew quite a bit about how Zhao Rouge set up a trap to kill a 5th-grade battle king from a sect. Zhao Rouge was ruthless and meticulous. He would not stop until he achieved his goal and had the demeanor of an ambitious and ruthless person. Since young Master Zhao wants to order first, then let young Master Zhao go first. Fatty Jean raised his head and said as he ate. He did not want his brothers to have a conflict with Zhao Rouge, who was a treacherous brat. Otherwise, they would not even know when they would die from his schemes. The few fatties could only resentfully step back. Zhao Rouge was very satisfied with this group's reaction. He disdainfully glanced at them and arrogantly sneered. Bufang indifferently looked at them. He did not say anything and could not be bothered to say anything. Finally, Zhao Rouge's gaze once again fell on him and he arrogantly said, "Why aren't you going to cook me a portion? What are you standing there for?" Bufang was expressionless as he coldly said, "The rules of this store. Food is not allowed to be taken out, each person is only allowed to order one portion of each dish, no trouble is allowed, no queue cutting is allowed, and the business hours are 6 hours. Are you trying to emphasize that queue cutting is not allowed?" Zhao Rouge chuckled. He did not mind this at all. It was just a small store, yet it had so many rules. Rules were made by people, and they were meant to be broken. Bufang frowned and said solemnly, "No, I want to emphasize that you are not allowed to cause trouble, and you are not allowed to cut the queue. Also, there is only 1 hour left of the original 6 hours of business time. If I tell you to cook, just do it. You're just a chef. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? This young master is giving you face by eating here. Don't be so shameless." Zhao Rouge was too lazy to listen to Bufang's nonsense. With a cold expression, he angrily shouted and kicked the fatty beside him to make way for him. Another idiot who offended the future god of cooking. Bufang was still expressionless. Those who break the rules will be blacklisted and will never be served again. So, please line up in order. After Bufang finished speaking, he entered the kitchen and completely ignored Zhao Rouge, who was angrily slamming the table behind him. After a while, a plate of egg-fried rice was completed. Bufang brought it out and directly placed it in front of a fatty. He completely ignored the ashen-faced Zhao Rouge. Another plate of egg-fried rice was completed. However, it was still not given to Zhao Rouge. After cooking 7 plates of egg-fried rice in a row, a rich fragrance enveloped the entire store. It was as if the store had turned into a sea of fragrance. Zhao Rouge, who was immersed in it, felt as if every day felt like a year. His stomach was rumbling unceasingly from the fragrance. "What the hell are you doing? Is my egg-fried rice not done yet?" Zhao Rouge had already endured for a long time, and he finally could not take it anymore. Bufang indifferently glanced at him and said, "There are still 3 plates of dry mixed noodles and 3 plates of stir-fried vegetables. After that, it will be your egg-fried rice." Zhao Rouge took a deep breath as the raging flames of anger in his chest burned. His hair fluttered without any wind and a glowing light circulated on his skin. "I really don't know who gave a chef like you the courage to offend me, Zhao Rouge?" Zhao Rouge's eyes seemed to be flickering and his entire body emitted a terrifying aura. Zhao Rouge's cultivation had reached 3rd-grade battle maniac, and he was ranked among the top of the younger generation in the Imperial City. Even though he was much weaker than monsters like Xiao Yanyu and Marquis Yangchen, he was still very impressive when compared to silk pants like Sun Qixiang. You want to make a move in the store? Bufang was not intimidated by the other party at all. Even though Zhao Ruge's aura was very powerful, it did not affect him in the slightest. So what if I destroy your store? Zhao Ruge sneered. He stretched out his palm, and a stream of true energy circulated in his palm. Before you arrived, more than 100 people came to destroy my store and ran back naked. Do you want to run naked as well? Bufang expressionlessly asked. Zhao Ruge was stunned for a moment, then he disdainfully smiled. Don't compare me, Zhao Ruge, with that group of trash. If you beg for mercy now and cook me a serving of egg-fried rice, I will forgive you. Otherwise, you can forget about keeping this store open. And 3 servings of dry mixed noodles and 3 servings of stir-fried vegetables. You're courting death. Zhao Ruge was truly enraged. He took a step forward and true energy surged out from his palm as he charged toward Bufang to capture him. He was confident that an ordinary person would not be able to dodge his attack. Bufang calmly stood on the spot as he watched Zhao Ruge approach him. Before he even arrived, the wind from his palm whistled through the air and caused his long black hair to flutter. Fatty Jin's eyes narrowed and the aura on his body suddenly changed. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and actually floated into the air, as light as a swallow. He wanted to stop Zhao Ruge. Xiao Bai, Bufang lightly called out. Fatty Jin's eyes abruptly widened as he saw a white metal puppet blocking in front of Bufang. Zhao Ruge's palm ruthlessly slammed onto the metal puppet's body, yet it did not budge at all. Zhao Ruge was dumbfounded. Fatty Jin was also dumbfounded. Troublemakers will be stripped as an example to others. Whitey's metallic eyes flickered for a moment. Then, Zhao Ruge and Fatty Jin's vision blurred, and they felt as if they were riding on the clouds. Bang! Zhao Ruge was the first to be flung out of the store. He fell face first onto the ground and felt a chill on his body. He realized that all of his clothes had disappeared and only a pair of underwear was left. Zhao Ruge angrily raised his head and looked at the store. However, fear quickly surfaced on his face. That was because he saw a lump of white and fleshy meat flying out of the store and wriggling toward him. Boom! The entire ground slightly shook. Fatty Jin felt like he had really been screwed. He really did not want to cause trouble, he only wanted to lend a hand. After heavily landing on the ground, Fatty Jin felt as if something was pressing down on his body. He twisted his body and immediately heard a series of frantic sounds coming from below. He hurriedly got up. Zhao Ruge's nose was bleeding and his exquisite and handsome face was slightly distorted. Bufang crossed his arms and walked to the entrance of the store. Behind him was Xiao Bai, who was emitting a metallic luster. Today's opening hours are over, come back tomorrow. Please pay the crystals and gold coins first. The total is 31 crystals and 800 gold coins. Bufang said indifferently as he glanced at one of the fatties. That fatty's entire body trembled as he hurriedly paid the bill. Then, the group of people walked out of the store. Zhao Ruge's face was filled with shame and anger. He stood up and hurriedly left after leaving behind some harsh words. However, looking at his white back, the deterrent effect of those harsh words was basically zero. Haha! Your store has character. Us brothers will come back tomorrow. Fatty Jin reminisced about the delicious egg-fried rice and laughed out loud. Then, he swaggered away with his group of chubby brothers, their fat jiggling. The big black dog lying at the entrance snorted, rolled its eyes and went back to sleep. Bufang glanced at the back of the group of chubby men and expressionlessly closed the store's door. Today's opening hours were over. After returning to his room, Bufang calculated the progress of his mission. Within 7 days, he had made a profit of 100 crystals, which was a profit of 1,000 gold coins. The gold coin mission was already completed. He still needed around 50 crystals, which was equivalent to 5 servings of improved egg-fried rice. However, it should be soon, if that group of fatties comes back tomorrow, Bufang muttered. Isn't that the son of the minister of the left, Zhao Rouge? Is he also learning to run naked? His butt is so white. The vegetable seller mumbled. As expected of the son of the minister of the left, his white butt is even more beautiful than a lady's, the sesame seed seller shouted. Is streaking popular within the imperial city recently? Why don't we go streaking some other day as well? The blacksmith rudely said. Fong Fong's little store. If I don't destroy you, my name isn't Zhao Rouge. Zhao Rouge, who was holding a vegetable basket to cover his body, angrily roared with tears in his eyes. Chapter 17. The incident with Zhao Rouge did not have any negative impact on Bufang's life, nor did it bring about any uneasiness to Bufang. He opened for business the next day as usual. He first gave the big black dog, who was living like a pig, a daily serving of egg-fried rice, then curled up on the chair as usual. His life went on as usual. Ever since Fatty Jean and the others ate Bufang's egg-fried rice the day before, they were completely captivated. Their minds were constantly recalling the delicacies of Fong Fong's little store. For Fatty Jean, the amount of egg-fried rice in a single bowl was too little, and it was not enough to fill his stomach. After returning home, he specially asked the chef to cook a large pot of egg-fried rice. However, compared to Bufang's egg-fried rice, the taste of this egg-fried rice cooked by the chef he specially invited from Jiangnan was too inferior. He only took a bite and found it difficult to swallow. The color, fragrance, and taste were completely different from the improved egg-fried rice of Fong Fong's little store. After enduring an entire night of hunger, the next day, Fatty Jean brought his group of brothers and aggressively rushed toward Fong Fong's little store. Those who did not know would have thought that they were there to fight. "Oh my, Owner Boo, good morning." When Fatty Jean arrived at the alleyway, he discovered that Fong Fong's little store was already open and was immediately overjoyed. Bufang recognized this fatty. That physique and the circle of flesh around his waist were unmatched in the entire imperial city. Bufang expressionlessly nodded and simply said, "Are you here to eat? What would you like to order?" "Owner Boo, the dishes you have here are too few. However, the taste is truly superb. Last night I was so hungry that I tossed and turned in bed and was unable to sleep. I couldn't wait to come here to eat a serving of egg-fried rice. As a matter of fact, Jean, brought my brothers here early in the morning." Fatty Jean grinned as he naturally walked into the store. The corners of Bufang's mouth twitched slightly, revealing a stiff smile. He was naturally happy when others praised his food. "However, Owner Boo, Old Jean, have a suggestion for you. Actually, you can make breakfast. Look at you, you open the door so early in the morning, but you only sell oily things like egg-fried rice. It's a bit of a waste of time." Of course, Owner Boo's egg-fried rice is not oily at all. Bufang thought for a while, then nodded and said lightly, "There will be in the future, don't worry." Lao Jean smiled as he sat on the stool and ordered, "Boss, give me one of each dish. I'm already hungry." Bufang softly replied with a then turned his gaze to the other fatties. Naturally, they also did the same thing as Old Jean. For these fatties, Bufang was not worried at all that they would waste food. He was only worried that there would not be enough to eat. "Okay, please wait a moment." After noting down everyone's order, Bufang walked into the kitchen. He lit the fire and turned on the stove. Everything went smoothly, and he was very skilled at it. With a spurt of fire and a shake of the wok, the spatula scooped out the egg-fried rice, which was 80% cooked, and wrapped around each round rice grain, and carried it out of the kitchen. The rich aroma caused Fatty Jin's stomach to growl. When Bufang brought out the second serving of egg-fried rice, Fatty Jean had already started to lick the plate. Seeing Bufang, Fatty Jean put down the plate and gave him a thumbs up, saying, "Owner Bu, this taste is really amazing. It's the best egg fried rice I've ever eaten in my life. Moreover, this egg fried rice can even stimulate the flow of true energy in the body. It's worthy of being a 10 crystals egg fried rice. Give me another serving." "I'm sorry, each person can only have one serving per day," Bufang said expressionlessly. Owner Bu, money is not a problem. Otherwise, I can even increase the price. Give me another serving, this amount is not enough to fill my stomach," Fatty Jean said with a thick face. He really did not care about money. Compared to delicious food, money was nothing. "No, this is the rule," Bufang said coldly. After he finished speaking, he walked into the kitchen, ignoring the depressed and pained Fatty Jean. When all the dishes were cooked, Bufang rubbed his sore shoulders and walked out of the kitchen. In the store, Fatty Jean and the others were already satisfied with their meal. They all greeted Bufang, and Bufang expressionlessly nodded at them. A total of 55 crystals and 5,000 gold coins. Hiss! Although these fatties were not short of money, they still sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard the price. Only these nouveau riches in the imperial city could afford to spend so much money on a meal. "Today is my treat. In the future, please come and visit Owner Bu's business more often. We can't let this delicacy go unnoticed." Fatty Jean was extremely forthright. He waved his arm and paid the money. "You're welcome to come again." Bufang watched the group of satiated fatties leave with a stiff smile on his face. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. Make a profit of 100 crystals and 1,000 gold coins in 7 days. The solemn and earnest voice of the system sounded in Bufang's mind. It made Bufang's calm heart slightly happy. He had finally completed the mission. However, his expression did not change much. The system had already announced the reward, but he was not in a hurry to check it since it was business hours. Outside the door, a slender and thin figure slowly walked in, gentle and handsome. "Owner Bu, good afternoon. Give me a serving of improved egg fried rice." The third prince chuckled and found a seat. Bufang nodded. "Please wait a moment." The group of fatties ate from morning until noon. Bufang's business hours also ended at noon. Just as Bufang was cooking egg fried rice in the kitchen, 2 more figures appeared outside the door. "Your Highness is here as well?" Xiao Xiaolong was pleasantly surprised when he saw Ji Qingshu already sitting inside Fang Fang's little store. Beside him was the slim and veiled Xiao Yanyu. The aura on Xiao Yanyu's body became stronger and stronger, and her jade-like skin was glowing from time to time. Yanyu's cultivation level has improved again, as expected of a monstrous genius comparable to the marquis of a small town. Ji Qingxue gently smiled. Xiao Yanyu slightly bowed toward Ji Qingxue and said with a voice that sounded like the chirping of an oriole, "The marquis of a small town is extremely talented. He reached the peak of 4th grade battle spirit at the age of 15. How can Yanyu compare to him? Your Highness is overpraising me." "Haha, are you here for a meal? Owner Bu's culinary skills are truly unparalleled. It feels much better than the imperial chef." Ji Qingxue laughed. Bufang walked out of the kitchen with a blue and white porcelain plate in his hand. On the plate was the shining egg-fried rice. The rich aroma spread in all directions, causing Ji Qingxue and the others to be slightly intoxicated. "Your improved egg-fried rice, please enjoy," Bufang expressionlessly said. "Owner Bu, do you have wine here? If this delicious egg-fried rice is paired with fine wine, then it would truly be perfect." Ji Qingxue seriously looked at Bufang and suggested, "Wine." Bufang was startled for a moment, then he nodded his head. "There will be in the future, don't worry. Owner Bu, give me 2 servings of improved egg-fried rice and 2 servings of stir-fried vegetables," Xiao Xiaolong excitedly said to Bufang. "Please wait a moment." Bufang turned around and returned to the kitchen. When he reached the entrance, he suddenly turned around and said, "Sissy, don't you want a serving of dry mixed noodles? I heard that dry mixed noodles and sissy go better together." Xiao Xiaolong expressionlessly looked at Bufang. If he had a kitchen knife at that moment, he would definitely hack at Bufang without hesitation. Xiao Yinyu and Ji Qingxue immediately burst into laughter. It turned out that the cold and serious owner Bu also had a sense of humor. Bufang was slightly puzzled. He was merely stating a fact. Xiao Xiaolong had ordered dry mixed noodles every time he came, and he always ate it happily. The two dishes were indeed compatible. Ignoring the group, Bufang walked into the kitchen. After the three of them finished their meal, they paid and bid farewell to Bufang. They left Fang Fang's little store with satisfied smiles on their faces. Every chef loved to see their customers leave with a satisfied smile on their faces. Even someone as cold as Bufang was no exception. After cleaning up the bowls and chopsticks, Fang Fang's little store was open for business for 6 hours per day. There was only an hour left today. Bufang stretched and yawned. He curled up on a chair and leaned against the entrance of the store, preparing to spend the last hour. The scorching sun gradually shifted, and its light lost its sharpness and became gentle. The shadows of the buildings in the alleyway were elongated and looked like an old-fashioned oil painting. Bufang unknowingly became a little intoxicated by it. Tap, tap, tap. At that moment, the sound of footsteps woke him up. A petite figure wearing a floral dress quickly rushed into the store. She was leaning against the wall and panting with her back bent. Bufang expressionlessly looked at the person in front of him. Chapter 18. This was a little lowly carved from jade. She was wearing a floral dress and her hair was tied up in a bun. Her skin was snow white and tender as if water could be squeezed out of it. Her big eyes shone brightly on her delicate and adorable face. Her cherry lips were a little pink, and she was petite and plump. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beauty before?" The little lowly patted her flat chest and took a deep breath. She carefully glanced outside the door, and was slightly relieved when she realized that no one was chasing her. Then, she realized that Bufang was actually staring at her. She immediately glared at Bufang. Just a little lowly with no chest, Bufang calmly ridiculed as he stood up from his chair. Bufang was 1.8 meters tall, and he looked down at the little lowly. The little lowly's big eyes rolled around, and she raised her head to look at Bufang. "What would you like to eat?" Bufang asked. There was still less than an hour left until the opening time. He originally thought that there would not be any customers, but he did not expect a little lowly to appear. "Who are you calling a girl with no chest?" The little lowly pouted and angrily glared at Bufang. "I just haven't started puberty yet." Bufang was expressionless. His gaze shifted, and he glanced at the little lowly's flat chest. The corner of his mouth slightly twitched this expression. The little lowly felt like she was about to explode. "If you want to order, please hurry up. There is less than an hour left until the opening time," Bufang coldly said. The little lowly glanced outside the door again, and realized that the person chasing her seemed to have run through the alleyway. She let out a long sigh, and then swaggered into a chair. With a tender voice, she asked, "What do you have here? Tell me." "There is a menu on the menu." "Look at it later," Bufang said. "Don't you have a mouth?" The little lowly angrily glared at Bufang again, and then turned her head to look at the menu. "This is a scam. This is definitely a scam." When the little girl saw the price on the menu, she was instantly enraged. She jumped up from her chair and pointed at Bufang. "You black-hearted boss, I'm going to get my father to arrest you." Bufang's face darkened and the corner of his mouth twitched. He was going to be the god of cooking who would stand at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world in the future. He had no time to play with this little girl. Therefore, Bufang patted the little lowly's head, then picked her up and walked out of the door. As he walked, he simply said, Be good, go home and play. Being carried by Bufang, the little girl immediately bared her fangs and brandished her claws. Her delicate and adorable little face was almost squeezed into a ball. You lecher, let go of me. She didn't want to go out. Her father's guards were looking for her. If she went out, wouldn't she be a lamb walking into a tiger's den? I'll order, I'll order. The little loli rolled her eyes and said in a sweet voice. Bufang was startled and put her down. The little loli wrinkled her nose and angrily snorted at Bufang. She quickly ran back to her seat and said, Give me the most expensive dish. No, your cultivation level is not high enough, Bufang expressionlessly said. The little loli was stunned. What kind of ghost store was this? Even eating a meal depended on one's cultivation level. Then give me a serving of egg fried rice, the little loli helplessly said. Please wait a moment. Bufang glanced at the little loli, then turned around and entered the kitchen. The little loli was bored to death as she sat in the store. She looked around and found the environment to be pretty good. After a while, Bufang walked out of the kitchen with a bowl of egg-fried rice on a blue and white porcelain plate. Your egg-fried rice, please enjoy. So fragrant. The little loli's eyes immediately lit up. Looking at the sparkling egg-fried rice in front of her, she was completely stunned. The rich fragrance made her stomach rumble uncontrollably. Without hesitation, the little loli immediately gobbled down the food. Slurp, slurp. Without any care for his image, Bufang suddenly felt that the way she ate was similar to the big black dog. A bowl of egg-fried rice, this little loli actually ate it cleanly. Rubbing her bulging stomach, the little loli satisfyingly let out a breath and leaned against the chair. It's really delicious, the little loli thought. One crystal, thank you. Bufang condescendingly stared at the little loli. The little loli blinked her adorable eyes as she looked at Bufang. Suddenly, her big eyes became moist and her rosy and adorable little mouth pouted. With a slightly wronged expression, she said to Bufang, Big brother, I ran away from home and I don't have any money on me. Look at how cute I am, can you not charge me? Bufang was expressionless. Oh, so this little loli is here to freeload. No wonder she looks so much like the big black dog. The big black dog, who was lying at the entrance, suddenly raised its head. It extended its neck and vigilantly scanned the surroundings. Only after discovering that nothing was wrong did it continue to yawn and lie down. You don't have any money? Bufang asked. Yes. The little loli blinked her big watery eyes and said pitifully, I don't have any money on me right now. Xiao Bai, Bufang softly shouted. The little loli was startled. Then, she felt a huge shadow suddenly appear behind her. Troublemaker, you will be stripped as an example to others, Xiao Bai's electronic eyes flashed as he mechanically said. Strip, strip? He wants to strip me? The little loli was stunned for a moment. Then, she was truly frightened and her beautiful face turned pale. The corners of Bufang's mouth twitched as well. He hurriedly stopped Xiao Bai. System, is there any punishment for freeloading? Bufang asked as he rubbed his nose. No matter what, this little girl was still a girl. Even though she did not have a chest, stripping her naked was not a good idea. The little loli was already scared out of her wits. Both of her legs were trembling. This was definitely a scam. There was actually such a terrifying thing that wanted to strip such an adorable little girl's clothes. There are two types of punishment. First, you will be stripped as an example to others. Second, you will have to pay with your body, the system solemnly said. Pay with my body? There was such a benefit? Bufang raised his eyebrows and glanced at the little loli's flat chest. He sighed and shook his head. As the saying goes, you will have to pay with your body, and become a waiter of the store for a week. The system solemnly helped Bufang correct the improper thoughts in his mind. Bufang's face did not even blush as he lightly coughed. Since you don't have the money to pay, then you will have to work for the store for a week. Your main job is to serve the customers meals, Bu Fong said. The little loli was stunned for a moment, then happily nodded her head and said, "Okay." This time, it was Bu Fong's turn to be stunned. He thought, "Why did you agree so easily? Don't you want to refuse?" "There's no salary," Bu Fong reminded her. However, the little loli proudly rolled her eyes at him. Just like that, the little loli who ran away from home stayed at Fong Fong's little store and became a waiter. Once the opening hours arrived, Bu Fong closed the store and returned upstairs. The homeless little loli who ran away from home was placed in another room. It was only after the little loli begged and threw a tantrum that Bu Fong finally agreed. "Congratulations to the host for completing the short-term mission. You will soon receive the system reward. The system reward is being released." Bu Fong excitedly sat in the room and waited expectantly. This time, there should be a new dish. "Young man, congratulations on completing the short-term mission in order to become the god of cooking who stands at the top of the food chain in the fantasy world. You have taken a solid step toward becoming the god of cooking. Reward: cooking method of fish try cooking and golden shumai. You will receive a fragment of the god of cooking set." Bu Fong was stunned. Fish try cooking? Golden shumai? Does this count as unlocking a new skill? Moreover, 2 of them were unlocked. Bu Fong felt as if he had been struck by a pleasant surprise. Chapter 19. What was fish try cooking? Bu Fong had some doubts. As a chef, he was naturally familiar with fish because fish was actually a very good ingredient. Different fish could be cooked into different delicacies. Fish try cooking refers to the 3 cooking methods of fish: Lee's fish, Sichuan boiled fish, and fish head tofu soup. The system will provide the host with fresh ingredient. According to the host's current chi level, the fish materials used are all 3rd-grade freshwater fish and saltwater fish. As the host's chi level increases, the quality of the fish materials will gradually increase. The system's serious voice sounded in Bu Fong's mind. Bu Fong was slightly stunned. So the fish try cooking referred to the 3 cooking methods of fish, and these cooking methods were not unfamiliar to Bu Fong. On Earth, Bu Fong had eaten the authentic Lee's fish from Poyang Lake. However, the key to Lee's fish was the wine. The wine had to be strong, aged wine. This way, during the marinating process, the wine fragrance would seep into the fish. Generally speaking, a good Lee's fish would be wrapped in light pink lees. The wine fragrance would permeate the air, and the fish would have a jujube red color. The color would give off an intoxicating sense of beauty. The wine was the key. Would the system provide wine as well? For the cooking method of Lee's fish, the system will provide the best rice wine lees every day. The host will have to marinate it himself. The system said. Bu Fong nodded. Since the system would provide rice wine lees, making Lee's fish would not be a problem. Bu Fong was very familiar with Sichuan boiled fish and fish head tofu soup. Needless to say, Sichuan boiled fish was a very popular dish on Earth. At night it would be sold like crazy in the street stalls. Fish head tofu soup was not an ordinary home-cooked dish. For Bu Fong, it was naturally not difficult to cook. The host has completed the short-term target mission. The current business income is 100 yuan crystals. According to the ratio, the obtained yuan crystal energy is 10 yuan crystals. The chi level has increased to combat master. Congratulations to the host for the increase in chi level. You have taken a step forward on the road to becoming the god of cooking in the fantasy world. Work hard, young man. The system said seriously and solemnly. The system's notification made Bu Fong happy. He quickly called up the character panel. Host: Bu Fong True Energy Cultivation. 2nd grade, as the god of cooking in the fantasy world, the food in the future will definitely require true energy. Young man, work hard. Cooking talent, temporarily locked. Skill, locked. Tool, none. God of cooking overall rating, Beginner, your true energy cultivation is finally on the right track. Work hard, young man. System level: 2-star vitality conversion ratio, 20%. Obtained permission to open tables and chairs. Customers are allowed to bring ingredients lower than grade 3. Bufang took a deep breath and raised his hand. His skin glowed, as if there was an invisible energy circulating in his body. A second-grade battlemaster was unable to externalize true energy. However, when true energy circulated within the body, it could still be traced. As the true energy circulated, Bufang felt more and more energetic. The fatigue on his body was swept away, and some black impurities were also expelled from his body. If someone were to witness this scene, they would definitely be so shocked that their jaws would drop. That was because Bufang was currently cleansing his tendons and meridians. That was something that could only happen when one was a 4th-grade battle spirit. Bufang patted his chest and felt his bulging muscles. A stiff smile appeared on his face. As a chef, a strong physique was indispensable. Even though the system only increased the level of his true energy and did not teach him any cultivation techniques or battle skills like in novels, it was already enough. That was because the system was a gourmet system and not a battle maniac system. What he needed was the system's help to reach the top of the food chain in the fantasy world. The stench emitted by the impurities on his body caused Bufang to frown. He entered the bathroom and took a nice shower. His entire body relaxed. The refreshed Bufang put on his clothes and went to the kitchen. He could not wait to try out the newly learned skill. A wine jar as tall as a person had appeared in the corner of the kitchen. Bufang raised his eyebrows in surprise. He thought that it was probably prepared by the system for marinating the Lee's fish. The Lee's fish had a very high requirement for wine. When Bufang opened the cloth cover of the sealed wine jar, an extremely rich aroma of wine immediately assailed his senses. Bufang's nose slightly narrowed and a blush appeared on his face. What a rich aroma of wine! Bufang looked inside and saw that the jar was filled with yellow-brown distiller's grains that were evenly distributed. Between the distiller's grains flowed a fragrant and smooth wine. He scooped up a spoonful of distiller's grains and brought it closer to his nose to take a whiff. A faint sour aroma mixed with a hint of sweetness came from it. He crushed the distiller's grains with his finger. The rice grains were hard, soft, and slightly sticky. Without a doubt, this was a portion of high-quality distiller's grains. Regardless of whether it was the distiller's grains or the final wine, they were all top-notch goods. The products of the system were indeed of the highest quality. After covering the distiller's grains with the cloth cover again, Bufang's gaze landed on a large fish tank in the corner of the kitchen. Inside the fish tank, there were 2 fish swimming lazily while wagging their tails. This was a species that Bufang had never seen before. There should not be such a species on Earth. One of the fish's body was emitting a faint blue fluorescence. Its eyeballs were rolling around and filled with spirit energy. The lines of its body were also very perfect. The other fish appeared much more ferocious. Its head was swollen and its body was jet black. Its scales were reflecting light. Bufang pulled up his sleeves and expressionlessly stood in front of the fish tank, staring at the 2 fish. Suddenly, he made his move. Both of his hands quickly inserted into the fish tank. In the instant that ripples appeared in the water, he grabbed the blue fluorescent fish. The fish's reaction was also very fast. Its body suddenly emitted a wave as it tried to shake off Bufang's hands. After all, this was not an ordinary fish. It was a 3rd-grade spirit beast fish. Although its combat ability was not strong, its resistance was still quite strong. Bufang was like an experienced fisherman. His 5 fingers firmly gripped the fish's body, causing it to struggle more and more powerless. Finally, it was fished out of the fish tank by Bufang and placed on the chopping board. This kitchen was prepared and renovated by the system. All kinds of kitchenware were available. Bufang conveniently picked up a kitchen knife. The kitchen knife emitted a cold light, but it did not affect Bufang's movements in the slightest. Third-grade ice sea fish, a type of sea fish found in the northeastern waters of the Light Wind Empire. Its body emits a blue light, and its flesh contains cold air and spirit energy. It is an excellent ingredient. The system's introduction of the blue fluorescent fish was not low. Presumably, the system would not provide Bufang with low-grade ingredient. The importance of good ingredients to a delicacy was self-evident. In terms of taste, the difference in ingredients would make a world of difference. True energy was guided into his palm. Bufang held the kitchen knife and slapped it on the head of the ice sea fish. The struggling ice sea fish suddenly stopped moving. He smoothly scraped the scales and cut open the fish's stomach. Bufang was very experienced in handling fish. After a short while, the ice sea fish was completely processed. Walking to the side of the wine jar, Bufang opened the cloth cover and scooped out some distiller's grains from the wine jar. He then stuffed the entire ice sea fish into the wine jar to marinate. A special wine jar can speed up the marinating time. Estimated time to finish marinating is 6 hours, the system notified. Bufang was stunned for a moment, then nodded. If he could speed up the marinating process, he could sell the fish in time. As long as he could marinate the fish before opening the store, it would be fine. After marinating the ice sea fish, Bufang turned to prepare the second dish. The fish in the fish tank became 2 again. Unknowingly, the system had already filled up the empty spot. This way, Bufang could always have fish ingredients. After scooping out the pitch-black fat fish and processing it as well, Bufang chopped off the fish's head and started to make the fish head tofu soup. Taking out the white and translucent tofu from the freezer, Bufang started to cook it. Third-grade thunder silver carp, freshwater fish from the southern wasteland lake of the Light Wind Empire. The fish has a fat head and a lot of meat. The meat is delicious and contains faint lightning. It is a top-notch ingredient. Ice crystal jadeite tofu, made from the exquisite spirit energy soybeans produced in the northern part of the Light Wind Empire. They are all hand-ground and go through many processes. It is a special tofu for the Imperial Palace. Both the tofu and the fish were amazing. Bufang was filled with anticipation for the fish head tofu soup. When the lid was lifted, a rich aroma with the fragrance of the fish assaulted Bufang's nostrils. He could not help but take a deep breath and feel hungry. The little loli, who was bored to death in the guest room, suddenly twitched her nose. Her lively and cute big eyes immediately rolled around and were filled with surprise. "It smells so good. Don't tell me that the expressionless boss is cooking something delicious? This smell. It's not egg-fried rice." The little loli's nose was very sensitive. She turned around and immediately ran out of the guest room. In the kitchen, Bufang had just finished preparing the fish head tofu soup. The milky white fish soup, the plump and tender fish head, and the translucent white jade-like tofu. There were no chopped onions, no ginger, and no other seasoning. This was the original combination of fish head and tofu. The fragrant fish head tofu soup was placed on the table and it stimulated one's appetite. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.